I upload calm horror stories regularly for sleep. I self-narrate all my own stories. No AI voice. If that's your thing, subscribing helps keep them coming as a lot of time and effort goes into each video. Thank you. Please enjoy. I watched something wearing my dead father's face step over the cattle guard, and I knew the metal wouldn't save me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to where this started, because you need to understand I'm not some kid who spooks easy. I've worked cattle in northern New Mexico for 12 years. I know what belongs out here and what doesn't, and what I saw that night in October of 2019 didn't belong anywhere on God's earth. The ranch sits about 40 miles southeast of Farmington, right up against the res border. 2,300 acres of scrubland, juniper, and red rock mesa. My boss, Mr. Caldwell, runs about 400 head of Angus and Hereford cross. I've been his only full-time hand since 2007, living in the foreman's cabin about half a mile from the main house. The work's hard but honest, fixing fence, checking water, pulling calves, the usual. I learned a trade from my father before the cancer took him in 2016. That October evening started normal enough. I was making the evening rounds in the Kawasaki Mule, checking the north pasture fence line. The sun was dropping fast, painting the mesas orange and purple. Temperature was falling with it, probably down to 45 degrees already. I had my Carhartt jacket zipped up, work gloves on, and my father's old Streamlight flashlight clipped to my belt. He'd carried that light for 30 years. It still had his initials scratched into the base. J. T. M. The first sign something was wrong came at marker post 73. I found the calf there, or what was left of it. It was a young heifer, maybe 3 months old, lying in the scrub about 20 feet from the fence. But it wasn't killed like coyotes or mountain lions kill. Those predators are messy. They rip and tear, leave blood, spray, drag marks, scattered fur. This was different. This was precise. The calf had been opened from throat to pelvis in one clean line. The cut was surgical, like someone had used a scalpel. The organs were gone, not eaten, not scattered, just gone. The body cavity was completely empty, scooped clean. But here's what made my stomach turn. There was almost no blood. The ground around it was dry. The inside of the carcass looked rinsed. And the eyes were missing. Not pecked out by ravens. Removed. The sockets were clean. Perfect circles. I've seen plenty of dead animals in my time. You work ranches long enough, death becomes routine. But this made something primal in my brain start screaming. I keyed my radio with shaking fingers. Mr. Caldwell, you copy. Static, then go ahead. Got a dead calf at marker 73, north fence. You're gonna want to see this. Coyotes? No, sir. Something else. It's real clean. Too clean. A long silence. When he came back, his voice had changed. I'll be there in 20. Don't touch anything. And Jackie, stay in the mule. The way he said it made my skin crawl, like he knew something I didn't. I stood there in the dying light, staring at that calf. The wind picked up, carrying the smell of sage and something else, something sweet and rotten at the same time, like spoiled fruit mixed with copper. My hands were shaking, and it wasn't from the cold. That's when I heard the voice. Jackie, my nickname. Only my family called me that. My father, my mother, my sister. I froze, every hair on my body standing straight up, my breath caught in my throat. Jackie over here. It was coming from the mesa, about 200 yards north. I turned, squinting into the dusk, and there was a figure standing on the ridge line, silhouetted against the purple sky. No, no way. Nobody out here. No hikers. No other ranches for miles. Jackie, I need help. The voice was my father's. Exact pitch, exact cadence, exact gravel rough texture from 40 years of Marlboro Reds. My father, who I buried 3 years ago in the Farmington Cemetery. My father, who I watched waste away to 90 pounds, his last words a whispered, "Love you, bud," through morphine fog. My throat closed up. I couldn't breathe. My vision tunneled. The figure on the mesa started walking toward me. Not fast, just a steady walk, boots crunching on shale. As it got closer, I could make out details in the fading light. Denim jacket, the same Wrangler jacket my father wore every single day for 20 years. Tan Carhartt work pants with the knees worn white, dusty Red Wing boots, the left one with the scuff mark on the toe, brown Stetson hat pulled low, the same hat I'd placed on his casket, the same hat I'd watched them lower into the ground. "Jackie, come help your old man. I'm hurt bad." My legs moved on their own. I took 3 steps toward the figure before my brain caught up and I stopped, gasping, pressing my palms against my eyes hard enough to see stars. "No, no, he's dead. You buried him. You gave the eulogy. You scattered his ashes on the mesa like he asked. This isn't real. Jackie, please, don't leave me out here. It's getting dark." I looked up. The figure was closer now, maybe 100 yards, close enough to see the face under the hat brim. It was my father's face. Same weathered skin, tanned like old leather. Same gray beard, trimmed close the way he always kept it. Same deep lines around the eyes from squinting into the sun. Same crooked nose from the breaking a bull gave him in 1994. I'd been there. I'd heard the crack. I'd driven him to the ER. But the eyes were wrong. They caught the last of the light, and they reflected it back yellow-green, like a coyote's eyes at night, like an animal caught in headlights. "Stay back!" I shouted. My voice cracked like I was 13 again. "You're not him!" The figure stopped walking. It tilted its head to one side, studying me the way a cat studies a mouse. And it smiled my father's smile, the lopsided grin he'd give when he was proud of me for fixing fence right or backing a trailer straight. "Course I'm him, Jackie. Who else would I be? My father's dead. I watched him die." Well now, the figure reached up, adjusted the hat. The movement was perfect. Exactly how my father would do it. Thumb and forefinger on the brim, slight tug to the right. A gesture I'd seen 10,000 times. Maybe I got better. Happens sometimes. "You gonna help me or not?" My radio crackled. "Be there in 10, Mr. Caldwell said, his voice tight. The figure's head snapped toward the sound with a speed that wasn't human too fast, neck bending at an angle that should have broken bone. Then it looked back at me, and the smile was gone. "You called someone." The voice had changed slightly, still my father's, but flatter now, emotionless, like someone doing an impression who'd stopped trying. "That wasn't smart, Jackie." It started walking toward me again, faster, now. Not running, but covering ground in long, purposeful strides. I stumbled backward, my boot caught on sagebrush, and I went down hard on my back. The impact knocked the wind out of me. I rolled over, gasping, tasting blood where I'd bitten my tongue, and I saw something that made my bladder nearly let go. The figure's shadow was wrong. The sun was almost down, just a sliver of orange on the horizon, but there was still enough light to cast long shadows across the scrubland. The figure looked like a man walking upright on 2 legs, but its shadow showed something on all fours, with a back that was too long and thin, legs that bent backward at the knee like a dog's, and a neck that stretched forward at an impossible angle. I made a sound I didn't know I could make, a high-pitched whimper of pure animal terror. I scrambled to my feet and ran for the mule. My boots slipped on loose rock. I could hear footsteps behind me, not running, just that same steady walk, but somehow keeping pace no matter how fast I moved. The footsteps sounded wrong too, like they were hitting the ground on 4 points instead of 2. I grabbed the mule's roll bar, hauled myself into the driver's seat, turned the key with fingers that wouldn't stop shaking. The engine didn't catch. No, 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 no. I turned it again. The starter clicked uselessly. I looked back over my shoulder. The figure was 30 feet away, 25, 20, close enough now to see that the face wasn't quite right anymore. The proportions were off. Eyes too far apart by maybe an inch, mouth too wide, stretching toward the ears. The skin looked loose, like it didn't fit properly, like something underneath was trying to hold the shape but couldn't quite manage it. But it was still wearing my father's jacket, my father's hat, my father's wedding ring on the left hand. Jackie, don't run from me. I just want to talk, like we used to. Remember? You and me, on the porch, watching the sunset? I miss that, bud. I miss you. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the key. Tears were running down my face. Please, I whispered. Please, just leave me alone. I yanked my father's flashlight from my belt, that old streamlight he'd carried for 30 years, with his initials scratched into the base. I clicked it on, aimed it at the figure's face. In the LED beam, I could see the skin moving, shifting, like something underneath was crawling around, trying to settle into place. The eyes were too large for the sockets, and I could see they weren't human eyes at all. They were yellow with vertical pupils, and they didn't blink, just stared with that flat predator focus. The mouth was moving wrong, too. The lips were forming words, but I could see something else moving in there, like the tongue was too long and had too many parts. Get away from me. I was sobbing now, snot and tears running down my face, my whole body shaking. You're not my father. He's dead. I buried him. Leave me alone. The figure stopped. It stood there in the flashlight beam, 15 feet away, head cocked to one side at that wrong angle. Then it spoke, and the voice was different, deeper, older, like gravel shifting in a cave. Nothing human. He's not dead, Jackie. None of them are really dead. We keep them. We keep their faces, their voices, their memories, their love for you. We wear them when we need to. Your father's here with me right now. Do you want to talk to him? Really talk to him? He has things he never got to say before he died. Things about how proud he was. Things about how you disappointed him. I made a sound I'd never heard myself make before, a high-pitched keen of pure terror, the sound a rabbit makes when a coyote's jaws close around it. I tried the ignition again. The engine turned over, coughed, died. I pumped the gas. Tried again. Nothing. The figure took another step closer. I could smell it now, that same sweet rot smell from the calf, but stronger, concentrated, like meat left in the sun for days, like gangrene, like the cancer ward where my father died. I can bring him back, Jackie, all the way back. You just have to come with me, up to the mesa. There's a place up there, a special place. He's waiting for you, your real father. Don't you want to see him again? Don't you miss him? The thing's hand reached out toward me. The fingers were too long, the nails too thick, more like claws. But it was wearing my father's wedding ring. I could see it in the flashlight beam, the simple gold band with the inscription inside that said "Forever, Sarah." My mother's name. Headlights swept across the pasture. Mr. Caldwell's F-250 was coming up the access road, still half a mile out, but closing fast, dust plume rising behind it. The figure's head snapped toward the lights with that same inhuman speed. It made a sound, a clicking, chittering noise that no human throat could make, like insects' legs rubbing together, like bones scraping on rock. Then it looked back at me, and when it smiled, I saw that its teeth were wrong. Too many of them, too sharp. Next time, it said in my father's voice, but layered now with that other sound, that clicking, chittering. Next time, you won't have help. Next time, you'll be alone. And we'll talk, really talk, about your mother, about your sister, about everyone you've ever loved. It turned and ran, not like a man runs like an animal, dropping to all fours mid-stride, its spine bending in ways that should have snapped bone. It covered ground in long, loping bounds, its back arching and flexing, moving more like a wolf than anything human. In seconds, it had crossed 60 yards. It reached the fence line. The cattle guard. My father had taught me about cattle guards when I was 8 years old. We'd been driving across one, and I'd asked why the cows wouldn't cross it. Animals won't cross metal grates, he'd said, tousling my hair. They're scared of getting their legs caught. Works on everything. Cows, horses, deer, even wild animals. You ever get chased by something dangerous, you get across a cattle guard. It'll stop there every time. Remember that, Jackie. It might save your life someday. I watched the thing reach the guard. I prayed, really prayed. First time in years that my father's old wisdom would hold true. That this thing, whatever it was, would stop at the metal grating. It didn't even slow down. It stepped over the cattle guard like it was stepping over a puddle, one smooth, fluid motion, not breaking stride. On the other side, it paused. It turned and looked back at me. Then it stood up on two legs again, straightened my father's jacket, adjusted his hat, and in the last of the light, I saw it tip the hat at me, that same gesture my father used to make when he'd see me after a long day. Then it walked into the darkness toward the mesa, and the night swallowed it whole. Mr. Caldwell's truck skidded to a stop next to the mule in a spray of gravel. He jumped out, lever-action rifle in one hand, heavy mag light in the other, sweeping the area with the beam. Where is it? What happened? Are you hurt? I couldn't speak. My jaw was locked tight. I just pointed toward the mesa with a hand that wouldn't stop shaking, toward the cattle guard, toward where it had gone. Mr. Caldwell followed my gesture with his light. The beam caught something on the other side of the guard, my father's Stetson hat, sitting crowned down in the dirt exactly where the thing had been standing. Next to it, pressed deep into the sand, were 4 handprints, but they weren't human handprints. The fingers were too long, 8, maybe 9 inches, and at the tip of each finger was a claw mark, gouged into the hard pan. Jesus Christ, Mr. Caldwell whispered. His face had gone white. He looked at me, really looked at my face, and I saw something in his expression I'd never seen before. Fear. Real, bone deep fear. Get in the truck. Now. The mule won't. Leave it. Get in the goddamn truck right now, Jackie. I stumbled to the truck on legs that barely worked, climbed in. Mr. Caldwell backed up at speed, not taking his eyes off the mesa, the rifle across his lap. We didn't speak until we were back at the ranch house, every light blazing, doors locked and bolted. He poured me 3 fingers of bourbon in a coffee mug. I drank it in one swallow, barely tasting it, and he poured me another. Tell me exactly what you saw. Every detail. Don't leave anything out. So I did. The calf, the voice, the figure, the jacket, the shadow, the eyes, the smile, the cattle guard. All of it came pouring out while I shook so hard my teeth chattered against the rim of the mug. When I finished, Mr. Caldwell was quiet for a long time. He stood, went to a cabinet above the refrigerator, pulled out a wooden box I'd never seen before, and set it on the table between us. Inside were bundles of sage tied with red thread, small leather pouches that smelled like tobacco and cedar, a piece of turquoise the size of my thumb, and a laminated card with Navajo writing on it that I couldn't read. My wife's grandfather gave me these, he said quietly, 20 years ago, when we first bought this land. He was Dene Navajo. He stood right here in this kitchen and told me there were things out here, old things, things that wear faces that aren't theirs, things that take the shapes of the dead and use them to hunt. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't believe him, Mr. Caldwell's voice cracked. I thought he was just talking folklore, tradition, keeping the old stories alive. I smiled and nodded and took his gifts and put them in a cabinet and forgot about them. But he told me if I ever saw them, I should burn sage around the property line every night. Keep salt by the doors and windows. Don't go out after dark. And never, ever answer if they call you by name. He sat down heavily, suddenly looking 10 years older. The calf, he continued. You said the organs were gone. Clean, no blood. I nodded, not trusting my voice. That's how they feed. Not on meat, on the life inside things. The essence, the spirit. And when they take it, they can use it, they can wear it. Usually they take from the dead, go to graveyards, dig up fresh corpses, steal the faces and memories. But sometimes they take from the living too. He looked at me hard. Your father, when did he die? 3 years ago, October 19th. Same time of year. What does that mean? Means they remember dates. Means whatever that thing is. It's been watching you for 3 years, learning you, learning what would hurt you most, waiting for the right moment. He pushed the box toward me with both hands. Take this, all of it. Keep the sage in your cabin. Burn it every night at sunset. Rub the turquoise oil on your doors and windows. The pouches, put one above every entrance. And listen to me very carefully. He grabbed my wrist, his grip tight enough to hurt. If you see that thing again, if you hear your father's voice, your mother's, anyone's, you don't answer. You don't look at it. You don't engage. You run. You get to lights, to people, to the main house, to town, anywhere with other humans. These things, they're stronger in the dark and stronger when you're alone. You understand me? I nodded, tears running down my face again. Say it. Say you understand. I understand. Good. He let go of my wrist. You're staying here tonight. Guest room. I'm not letting you go back to that cabin alone. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in Mr. Caldwell's guest room with every light on, burning sage until my eyes watered and my lungs hurt, watching the windows. Mr. Caldwell sat in the hallway outside my door, rifle across his lap, watching the stairs. Around 3 in the morning, I heard scratching at the front door. Then my father's voice muffled through the wood. Jackie, let me in. It's cold out here, bud. Please. I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted to see you. I miss you so much. Please, son, please let me in. I sat there, crying silently, biting down on my knuckles hard enough to draw blood to keep from making a sound, listening to it scratch and beg in my father's voice for 20 minutes. Then my mother's voice joined in. She'd been dead for 5 years. Jackie, baby, it's Mom. Please open the door. Your father and I want to talk to you. We're so proud of you. We love you. We just want to see you one more time. I heard Mr. Caldwell chamber around in the hallway. The scratching stopped. The voices went quiet. At dawn, I went to the door. Mr. Caldwell tried to stop me, but I had to see. There were marks on the door, 4 parallel scratches in the wood, deep enough to splinter, running from top to bottom, and pressed into the frost on the porch, 2 sets of footprints. My father's boot size. My mother's smaller prints, leading to the door, then away, then circling the house 3 times before heading north toward the mesa. And written in the frost, on Mr. Caldwell's truck windshield, in letters 8 inches tall, see you soon, Jackie. Mr. Caldwell called the Navajo Nation police. 2 officers came out, both older guys who took one look at the scratches and the footprints and the message and exchanged glances that told me they'd seen this before. One of them, Officer Begay, walked the property line with us, placing small bundles at the corners. He wouldn't tell us what was in them, but I could smell cedar and sage. You did the right thing calling us, he said. This is Skinwalker activity, no question. The taking of animal organs, the wearing of the dead, the mimicry classic pattern. You're lucky. Most people don't survive the first encounter. What do I do? My voice was hoarse from crying. You follow the rules, the old rules. Sage, salt, turquoise. Don't go out alone after dark. Don't answer voices in the night. And he paused, looking uncomfortable. You might want to think about leaving. This land, I mean. They've marked you now. They know your face, your voice, your fears. They'll keep coming back. This is my job, my home. Your life is worth more. Officer Bagay put a hand on my shoulder. I've seen what happens when they decide they really want someone. It's not quick. It's not clean. They play with you first, break you down piece by piece, make you doubt what's real. And when you're hollow enough, when you're broken enough, they take you up to the mesa and you're never seen again. He handed me a card with a phone number written in pen. You see it again, you call me immediately, day or night. Don't wait. Don't try to handle it yourself. You understand? I took the card with numb fingers. That was 6 months ago. I'm still here. I know I shouldn't be, but I can't leave. This was my father's dream before he died, to own a ranch, to work the land. I feel like if I leave, I'm abandoning him all over again. But I follow the rules now. Every rule. I burn sage at sunset. I keep salt lines. I wear the turquoise. I don't go out after dark. And I sleep with my father's flashlight, a shotgun, and Officer Begay's card on the nightstand. I still hear the voices sometimes. My father, my mother, my sister who moved to Phoenix and is still very much alive, but I hear her out there anyway, calling my name. Sometimes I hear my own voice calling to me from the darkness, asking myself to come outside. I never answer. I never look. But 3 nights ago, I found something that made my blood freeze. I was checking the sage bundles Officer Begay had placed. The one on the northeast corner was disturbed, the red thread broken. Next to it, pressed into the dirt, was a handprint, human-sized this time, not those long-fingered things from before. And in the center of the palm was my father's wedding ring. I called Officer Begay. He came out, looked at it, and his face went gray. They are getting closer, he said, testing the barriers. This is bad. What do I do? You leave. Tonight. Pack what you need and go. Stay with family in another state. Don't tell anyone where you're going. And Jackie, he grabbed my shoulders, made me look at him. If you see your father again, if you see anything wearing his face, you run. You don't hesitate. You don't look back. You run and you keep running until you see people and lights and buildings. Because next time, I don't think the barriers are going to hold. I should listen to him. I know I should, but I can't. This land is all I have left of my father, the real one, the one I loved. So I'm still here, writing this, waiting, burning sage, listening to the wind carry voices I know aren't real. And every night, I look out toward the mesa and I see a figure standing on the ridgeline. Too far to make out details, but I know it's wearing my father's jacket. I know it's wearing his face. And I know that one of these nights, the sage won't be enough. The salt won't be enough. The turquoise won't be enough. One of these nights, I'm going to hear my father's voice, and I'm going to be too tired, too broken, too desperate to see him one more time. And I'm going to open the door. If you work on ranches near the res, if you're out in the high desert, if you're near the mesas, and the old places follow the rules, all of them, the old folks know what they're talking about. When they tell you there are things out there that wear the faces of the dead, believe them. Because the worst thing about skinwalkers isn't that they look like people you love. It's that part of you wants to believe it's really them. Part of you wants to open that door. Part of you wants to follow them up to the mesa. And if you give in to that part, even for a second, you're not coming back. If you've had experiences with things wearing faces that don't belong to them, drop your story in the comments. And if you're working land near reservation borders, stay safe out there. The old warnings exist for a reason. The thing outside the door was speaking in my mother's voice, but I could see through the window it was on all fours. I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that when I'm scared, when I'm trying not to think about what I saw. My therapist says it's a coping mechanism. She also says I should stop working night shifts. She doesn't understand that I can't afford to be picky about jobs right now. Let me back up, give you the full picture. Because what happened at the Shiprock Trading Post isn't something you can understand without context, without knowing who I was before and what I've become since. My name is Travis Kennison, and in March of 2023, I moved to northwestern New Mexico to manage a trading post on the edge of the Navajo Nation. I was 41 years old, freshly divorced, broke, and desperate for a fresh start. The kind of desperate where you take a job 800 miles from home without visiting first, without asking too many questions, without wondering why the position's been vacant for 3 months. The pay was $32,000 a year, plus housing. That's poverty wages anywhere else. But out here it meant a casita in town and enough left over to eat and send child support to my ex-wife in Tulsa. The owner, Bill Tsosi, hired me over the phone after a 15-minute interview. I should have known that was a red flag. The trading post sat on Highway 491, about 8 miles south of Shiprock, in that empty stretch where the mesas rise up like broken teeth against the sky. It was an old building, poured concrete, painted turquoise and white, flat roof, bars on the windows. Inside it was all wood floors and high ceilings and walls covered in handmade jewelry and rugs and pottery. We sold groceries, hardware, propane, cigarettes, the usual. Bill worked days, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I took the overnight shift 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., serving the truckers and ranchers and casino workers who needed gas or beer or a hot meal in the middle of the night. It was lonely work. But after 2 years of screaming matches with Jennifer, after lawyers and custody battles and dividing up 15 years of marriage into boxes, lonely sounded perfect. Bill trained me for 2 weeks before leaving me solo. He was Navajo, maybe 60, with gray hair and a traditional bun and turquoise on every finger. Patient man, kind. He showed me the register, the propane exchange, where the breaker box was, how to make the coffee strong enough that the truckers wouldn't complain. But on my last night of training, around 9:45 p.m., as he was getting ready to leave, he stopped at the door. "One more thing," he said, not looking at me. "If someone knocks after midnight and you don't recognize them, don't open the door." I was wiping down the coffee station. "Is this a high crime area or something? Just don't open it. Look through the window first. If something seems off, if they won't show their face, if they're standing wrong, if they speak but their lips don't match the words, you leave that door locked. You call me. Don't open it for anyone." The way he said it made my skin prickle. "What do you mean, standing wrong?" He finally looked at me. His eyes were dark and serious. "You'll know it when you see it. Just promise me you won't open that door without checking first." "Okay, yeah, I promise." "There are things out here," he said quietly. "Old things. They know where people gather. They know where the lights are. And sometimes they come knocking, looking for a way in." Then he left before I could ask him what the hell that meant. For the first month, nothing happened. My shifts were boring and routine. I sold gas and cigarettes, restocked shelves, cleaned, watched the sun come up over the mesas every morning. The overnight customers were normal people, truck drivers, shift workers from the power plant 40 miles west, ranchers checking on livestock. I started to think Bill was just messing with the new guy, hazing the transplant from Oklahoma with spooky stories. Then came April 27th, a Friday. It was a slow night. I'd had maybe 6 customers since 10 p.m. Around 1:30 in the morning, I was restocking the cooler with beer cores and Bud Light and Tecate when I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the glass door. I turned around. Through the glass, I could see a figure standing outside in the parking lot. The overhead lights were on, those yellow sodium lights that turn everything orange. But the figure was standing just outside the main pool of brightness, in that dim transitional space between light and shadow. It was a woman. I could see that much. Long dark hair hanging down past her shoulders. She was wearing what looked like a traditional velvet dress, the kind I'd seen Navajo women wear to ceremonies and church. Dark blue or black, with silver buttons that caught the light. Knock, knock, knock. We're open, I called out. Doors unlocked. She didn't move, just stood there, head tilted down so her hair covered her face. I walked toward the door, stopping about 10 feet away, suddenly uneasy. Ma'am, you okay? Do you need help? That's when she spoke. Travis, I need help. Please, let me in. My blood turned to ice water. My breath caught in my throat. It was my mother's voice. Not similar to my mother's voice, it was her voice. Same pitch, same Oklahoma accent with the flat vowels, same soft, gentle tone she'd used when I was sick as a kid and she'd bring me soup in bed and sit with me until I fell asleep. My mother had been dead for 8 years, heart attack at 62. I'd been the one to find her, slumped over her kitchen table, reading glasses still on, newspaper in her hand, crossword puzzle half finished. What? My voice came out as a whisper. I tried again, louder. What did you say? The figure raised its head slightly. I still couldn't see the face. The hair and the shadows and the angle were wrong, but I could see the mouth moving. It's cold out here, baby. Please, let me in. I need to talk to you. I've come such a long way. My hand was reaching for the door lock before I even realized it. Some deep, primal part of my brain heard my mother's voice and wanted to obey, wanted to help, wanted to believe that somehow, impossibly, she'd come back. Then I remembered Bill's warning. Look through the window first. If something seems off, I moved to the side window, pressing my face close to the glass to get a better angle, trying to see the figure more clearly. The woman shifted, turning slightly toward me. The parking lot light hit her differently, and I could see more details now. The dress was right. Dark velvet with silver conchos, the kind my mother never would have worn but somehow fit the moment. The hair was long and dark like my mother's had been before the gray came in. Even the posture was similar, slightly hunched, shoulders rounded from years of nursing work. But the hands were wrong. The fingers were too long. Not grotesquely so, but enough that my hindbrain screamed wrongness. Maybe an inch longer than they should be, maybe more. Thin and pale, and ending in thick, dark nails that looked more like claws than fingernails. Travis, please. I'm so cold. Let me in. I need to see you. I need to tell you something important. The voice was perfect. The exact warmth and love I remembered. But now that I was really watching, I could see the lips were moving just a fraction of a second behind the words, like a badly dubbed movie where the audio doesn't quite sync. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat, in my ears, behind my eyes. I took a step back from the window, my hands shaking. You're not my mother. The figure went completely still, frozen like a DVD player hitting pause, not moving, not breathing, just standing there like a mannequin. Then, slowly, it tilted its head to the side, too far, way too far, at an angle that would snap a human neck like a dry branch. When it spoke again, the voice had changed. Still my mother's, but flatter now, empty, like someone reading words off a card without any emotion behind them. Of course I'm your mother. Who else would I be? Let me in, Travis. Don't you love me anymore? Don't you want to see me? I backed away from the door, nearly tripping over a cardboard display of motor oil. My mother's dead. I buried her. You're not her. Am I dead, Travis? Are you sure? Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe I was just sleeping when you found me, and you were so eager to get rid of me that you didn't check. Maybe you buried me alive and I clawed my way out and I've been looking for you ever since. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to ask me what it was like, suffocating in that casket? My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I pulled it from my pocket, nearly dropped it, managed to thumb it open and pull up Bill's number. The figure pressed closer to the glass. I could see more of the face now, and my stomach lurched. It looked like my mother. Same round face, same small nose, same beauty mark on her left cheek. But the skin was the wrong color gray. Not just pale, but gray like meat that had gone bad, like something that had been dead for a while. And the eyes were too large, bulging slightly from the sockets, and they didn't blink. They just stared at me with that flat predator focus. I know what you did, Travis, the voice continued, and now it had an edge to it. Sharp, cruel, nothing like my mother. I know about the nursing home. I know you put me on the waiting list and then kept forgetting to follow up because you didn't want to deal with it. I know you were relieved when I died because it meant you wouldn't have to take care of me. I know you stole my jewelry before your sister could go through my things, the sapphire ring, the pearl necklace. I know everything, baby. Every shameful little secret, every lie, every cowardly thing you've ever done. Tears were running down my face. Stop it. Stop using her voice. Let me in, and I'll stop. Let me in, and we can talk about it. Really talk. I forgive you, Travis. I forgive you for everything. For being a bad son. For being a bad husband. For being a bad father. Just open the door and I'll forgive you. Bill answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. Travis? What's wrong? There's someone outside. I could barely get the words out around the tightness in my chest. It sounds like my mother, but it's not. It can't be. What do I do? A long pause. Then, Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, listen to me very carefully. Do not open that door. Do you hear me? No matter what it says, no matter what voice it uses, do not open that door. It knows things. It knows things only she would know. It doesn't know anything. It's reading you, reading your face, your fear, your guilt, your body language. It's making guesses, and you're confirming them by reacting. Now listen, where exactly is it standing? I looked back at the door. The figure was pressed right up against the glass now, face close enough that I could see condensation forming on the window from its breath. But that didn't make sense. It was April, maybe 60 degrees outside, not cold enough to see breath. It's at the front door, right up against the glass. Bill, I can see its breath fogging the window. Can you see its shadow? I looked down. The parking lot light was behind the figure, positioned so it should cast a clear, dark shadow across the concrete. There was no shadow. The light passed right through where the figure stood, like it wasn't there at all. No, no shadow. Good. That's good. That means it hasn't fully manifested yet. It's still mostly something else, something in between. Can you get to the back storage room without losing sight of the front door? I think so, yeah. Do it. There's a green metal box on the top shelf. Combination lock. Code is 9734. Inside is a leather pouch of cedar ash and a bundle of white sage. You need to burn the sage and spread the ash across every entrance. Right now, move. I started backing toward the storage room, keeping my eyes locked on the door. The figure tracked my movement, its head turning to follow me with that same too fast, too smooth motion that made my skin crawl. Travis, don't leave me out here. I came all this way to see you. Don't you care about me? The voice had changed again. Now it was Jennifer, my ex-wife. Same slight southern drawl. Same way she'd say my name when she was disappointed in me, which was often toward the end. Did you really think you could leave me behind? Did you think running to New Mexico would make you a different person? You're still the same selfish asshole who chose work over family, the same coward who couldn't handle his own mother dying, the same pathetic man-child who— I made it to the storage room, grabbed the step ladder, climbed up to the top shelf with shaking hands. The box was right where Bill said, covered in dust. I had to try the combination 3 times before my trembling fingers got it right and the lock popped open. Inside was exactly what Bill had described: a leather pouch that smelled like wood smoke and cedar, a bundle of dried white sage tied with red thread, a lighter, and a small ceramic bowl. I found it, I told Bill, foam pressed between my shoulder and ear as I grabbed the items and climbed down. Light the sage first. Let it burn for a few seconds, then blow it out so it smolders. Then take the cedar ash and sprinkle it in a line across every entrance. Windows, doors, vents, everything. And Travis, whatever you do, don't look at it directly. Don't listen to what it says. It's trying to break you down mentally. That's how it gets in. I lit the sage with the lighter, my hand shaking so badly it took 4 tries. The bundle caught, flames licking up the dried leaves for a moment before I blew them out. Thick white smoke immediately filled the storage room, sharp and clean and almost medicinal. From the front of the store, I heard a new voice, my sister Rachel's voice. Travis, why won't you help her? Mom needs you. She's scared and alone and cold, and you're just hiding in the back like you always do when things get hard. You're pathetic. You've always been pathetic. And my father's voice, dead from cirrhosis when I was 12 years old. Disappointed in you, boy. Always have been. Your mother knew it too. She just never had the heart to tell you. Then my college roommate, Mike, my first boss, Jerry, my high school girlfriend, Amy, all of them, voices overlapping, echoing through the empty store, saying things designed to hurt, to shame, to make me doubt myself. I walked back out into the main room, sage bundle smoking in my hand, trailing white smoke behind me. The figure at the door had changed. It was taller now, maybe 7 feet, its body stretching and contorting in ways that didn't make sense. I could see too many joints in its arms, like extra elbows, like a mantis. Its neck was too long, the head cocked at that impossible angle. The face kept shifting. 1 second my mother, the next Jennifer, the next Rachel, the next Amy, cycling through them too fast, the features melting and reforming like wax under heat. Look at me, it said in a chorus of voices, all speaking in unison. Look at what you made me. Look at your guilt, your shame, your fear, your weakness. I'm everything you tried to forget, everything you buried, everything you ran away from. Let me in, and I'll make you remember. I'll make you feel it all. Every moment of pain, every failure, every person you've hurt. Let me in. I started sprinkling the cedar ash across the doorway, my hand shaking so badly I spilled half of it on the floor. But I got a line down, and then moved to the window's east wall, west wall, then the back door, then the ventilation grates near the ceiling. The voices got louder, angrier, more desperate. You can't keep me out forever. I know you, Travis. I know how weak you are. I know you'll slip up. You'll fall asleep or forget or just get tired of fighting. And when you do, I'll be there. I'll be waiting. I'm always waiting. I finished the last window and stepped back into the center of the store. The sage smoke was thick now, filling the space, making my eyes water and my lungs burn. The figure at the door suddenly slammed both hands against the glass. Boom. The whole frame rattled. I could see the hands clearly now in the overhead lights. They weren't hands. They were trying desperately to look like hands. But they were something else. Too many fingers, 8 or 9 on each hand. Joints bending backward. Skin that rippled and moved like it was full of worms or insects trying to escape. Let me in. The voice was nothing human now. It was a shriek, a roar, the sound of metal being torn apart, the sound of bones breaking, The sound of something that should not exist trying to force itself into a shape it could never hold. The glass rattled in the frame but didn't break. Boom, boom, boom. It was hitting the door with something fists, maybe, or something that had been fists once. Each impact made the whole building shake. Dust rained down from the ceiling tiles. It's working, Bill said in my ear. The ash is holding. It can't cross it. Not tonight. But Travis, you need to listen to me. This is serious. These things, they don't give up easy. It's marked you now. It knows your face, your voice, your fears. You're going to see it again. What is it? I was crying now, full body sobs shaking my chest. What the fuck is it? A long pause. Then, we call them skinwalkers. Yeenal, Lushi, and Navajo. They're witches. People who broke the worst taboos, who killed their own family members, who practiced the darkest magic. They're not human anymore. They wear the skins of animals and the faces of the dead, and they hunt along the lonely roads at night looking for people who are alone, people who are vulnerable, people who are easy to break. The figure at the door had stopped hitting the glass. It stood perfectly still now, watching me through the window. Its face had settled into something that was almost my mother, but wrong. The eyes were solid black, no whites, no irises. The mouth stretched too wide, showing too many teeth, all of them sharp. Then, slowly, deliberately, it smiled and dropped to all fours. I could see it clearly now through the window, and my bladder almost let go. What I had thought was a person in a dress was something else entirely. The body was too long, the spine bent in an S-curve that no human spine could achieve. It moved like a spider, like a crab, scuttling sideways on limbs that bent in too many places. The dress hung off it like old skin, and underneath I could see something pale and segmented, like a grub, like something that lived in the dark places, under rocks. It circled the building slowly. I could hear its claws clicking on the concrete outside, scraping against the walls, testing. It moved past the windows, past the back door, checking each entrance, but never quite touching them, like there was an invisible barrier. Then it stopped at the front door again. It raised itself up on its hind legs, towering to maybe 8 feet now, and pressed its face, still wearing my mother's face like a mask against the glass one more time. See you soon, baby, it whispered in my mother's voice, soft and loving. Real soon. I'll be waiting. I'm always waiting. And one day you'll slip. One day you'll forget the ash or the sage, or you'll just be too tired to care. And I'll be there. I promise you, I'll be there. Then it dropped down and skittered away into the darkness beyond the parking lot lights, moving faster than anything that size should be able to move, its claws clicking against the asphalt like castanets. I stood there in the thick sage smoke, shaking, tears and snot running down my face, staring at the empty parking lot. It's gone, Bill said quietly. For now. What do I do? My voice was small, broken. You keep the sage burning until sunrise. You don't go outside for any reason. You stay behind that ash line, and tomorrow, after the sun's up, you decide if this job is worth it. If staying here is worth what it's going to cost you. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. I sat behind the counter, sage burning in the ceramic bowl, watching the windows with eyes that felt like sandpaper. Every shadow looked like movement. Every gust of wind sounded like scratching. Every creak of the building settling made me jump. At 6 a.m., when the sun finally started turning the sky purple-gray, I went to check the door. The marks were there, on the glass, at exactly the height where the thing's hands had pressed were prints, but they weren't handprints. They were animal prints, canine, maybe, with too many toes, and they were burned into the glass, etched there like acid, permanent. Underneath, scratched into the concrete with something sharp, and letters 6 inches tall. I know where you sleep, Travis. Bill came in at 6:15. He took one look at my face, at the prints on the glass, at the message on the concrete, and nodded slowly. Yeah, He said quietly, "That's what I figured." "What do you mean, that's what you figured?" He sighed, poured himself a cup of coffee from the fresh pot I'd made, and sat down on the stool next to me. "The last night manager quit 3 months ago. Didn't even come back for his last paycheck, just called and said he was done. The one before that lasted 2 weeks before he had a breakdown. The one before that had to be hospitalized for psychiatric evaluation after he tried to claw his own eyes out in the parking lot at 4 a.m., screaming that his dead daughter wouldn't stop staring at him." My stomach dropped. "You knew this would happen, and you didn't warn me." "I warned you not to open the door. That's the warning that matters." "And you didn't open it, so you're still alive." He took a long sip of coffee. "Look, I know you need this job. I know you've got a fresh start and a lease and a whole new life out here. But you need to understand what you're signing up for. This won't be the last time. They come back. They test you. They try new voices, new faces, new ways to get inside your head and make you open that door. What happens if I do? If I open it?" Bill's face went dark. He stared into his coffee cup for a long moment before answering. "The last manager who did the one before the eye-clawing guy, we found him 3 days later. Out on the mesa, about 10 miles from here. Or pieces of him, anyway. Medical examiner said it looked like he'd been taken apart by something with surgical precision. Took them a week to confirm identity from dental records because the head was, well, you don't need those details." I felt bile rise in my throat. Jesus Christ. "You want my advice? You quit. You go back to Oklahoma. You find a normal job with normal problems, like difficult customers and broken cash registers." He finished his coffee and stood. "But if you stay, you follow the rules. Every single night. Sage, cedar ash, salt if you can get it. Don't answer voices. Don't open doors for anyone you haven't verified as human. And if you see something that looks like family, like friends, like anyone you've ever loved, you remember that they're using your own heart as a weapon against you." I should have quit right then. I know that any sane person would have, but I had nowhere else to go. The divorce had cleaned me out. I had $237 in my checking account and first month's rent already paid on a casita in Shiprock. My ex-wife was already threatening to take me back to court for missed support payments. I needed this job, so I stayed. That was 9 months ago. I'm still here, still working nights, still burning sage and spreading cedar ash and watching the windows with eyes that never quite feel closed. The thing comes back every few weeks. Sometimes it's my mother, sometimes it's Jennifer. Once it was my son Tyler, which really fucked me up because Tyler is alive and well in Tulsa, 14 years old, playing JV football and getting straight A's, but it looked exactly like him, sounded exactly like him. Stood outside the door crying, begging me to let him in, telling me about a car accident, saying he was hurt and bleeding, and "Please, Dad, please, I'm so scared. I don't want to die alone out here. Please just open the door." I didn't open it. I called Jennifer on speakerphone instead, right there at 2 a.m., woke her up, made her put Tyler on the line so I could hear his voice, hear him say he was fine, he was home in his bed, he was safe. The whole time he was talking, telling me about his algebra test and football practice, the thing outside was laughing. Then, when Tyler hung up, it spoke in his voice again. "Not yet, Dad, but soon, soon I'll really need you. Soon I'll really be dying, and you'll hear my voice, and you won't know if it's real or not. You won't trust your own son, and you'll let me bleed out in the street because you're too scared to open a fucking door." Then it ran off into the dark, cackling, and I threw up in the trash can behind the counter for 20 minutes. Bill says I should see a medicine man, get a proper blessing, do a ceremony. But I'm not Navajo. I'm not part of this world, this culture. I'm just a divorced white guy from Oklahoma who made the mistake of taking a job in a place where the old things still walk. Last week, something happened that made me realize it's getting worse, getting smarter, I was closing up the register around 5:30 a.m. when I noticed something odd. The security camera monitor behind the counter was showing a recording icon, like it had captured something on motion detection. We have 4 cameras: parking lot, front door, back door, and one covering the main sales floor. I pulled up the footage and scrolled back through the night. Everything looked normal until 2:17 a.m. At 2:17, while I was in the bathroom taking a piss, something had been inside the store. It was on the main floor camera, clear as day. A figure standing in aisle 3, right next to the canned vegetables and soups, tall, maybe 7 feet. The proportions were wrong, all wrong. Arms too long, reaching past its knees. Head too small for the body. Legs that bent backward at the knee. But it was wearing clothes. Human clothes. It was wearing the exact outfit I'd had on that night. Blue jeans, red flannel shirt, work boots, even my company vest with the name tag. I watched this thing that looked almost like me walk slowly down the aisle, running its 2 long fingers across the shelves, knocking cans onto the floor without sound. The footage had no audio, but I could see its mouth moving, like it was talking to itself. It stopped at the counter, right where I'm sitting now, looked directly at the camera, and smiled with my face. The footage cut out for exactly 3 seconds. Just black screen, timestamp still running. When it came back, the thing was gone. Just an empty aisle, cans scattered on the floor. But on the counter, right where I'd been sitting, there was a message. I had to zoom in and enhance the image to read it. Written in something dark, looked like dried blood maybe, or rust, were the words, "Next time I'll knock from inside." I showed Bill the footage the next day. The color drained from his face. "It's learning," he said quietly, rewatching the video 3 times. "Getting stronger, understanding the space." "That's not good, Travis. That's really, really not good." "What does it mean? How did it get past the ash?" "I don't know. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was never really here, just projected itself somehow. Or maybe he trailed off. Maybe what? Maybe the protections only work if you maintain them perfectly every single night. And if you forgot even once, if you missed a window or a vent or got sloppy with the ash line, it found a way in. It's testing the boundaries, looking for weaknesses." I thought back over the past 9 months. Had I been perfect every night? Had there been a night I was too tired, too complacent, when I'd rushed through the ritual? I couldn't remember. The nights had started blending together. "What do I do?" Bill was quiet for a long time. Then, "You leave. Tonight, you pack your shit and you go. Because if it can get inside, if it can bypass the protections, then the rules don't work anymore. And if the rules don't work," he met my eyes, "then you're already dead. You just don't know it yet. I can't leave. I have rent. I have child support. You have your life. That's all that matters. Your life and your sanity. This thing, it doesn't just kill you, it breaks you first. Makes you doubt everything. Makes you question what's real. And when you're hollow enough, when there's nothing left inside worth fighting for, that's when it takes you." That was 5 days ago. I've been trying to work up the courage to quit, to pack my car and drive away and never look back. But I can't. I'm trapped. Not by the job, not by the money. I'm trapped by something worse. I don't think I can leave. Because 3 nights ago, I found something. I was checking the sage bundles around the property. Bill had shown me how to place them at the cardinal points as extra protection. The one on the northeast corner, near the propane cage, was disturbed. The red thread was broken. Next to it, pressed deep into the dirt, was a handprint, human size this time, not those elongated things I'd seen before. Perfect 5 fingers. In the center of the palm was a ring, my mother's sapphire ring, the one I'd taken from her house before the estate sale, the one I'd been wearing on a chain around my neck. I reached up and touched my chest. The chain was still there, the ring was still there, but there was another ring in the dirt, identical. Same gold setting, same sapphire, same inscription, inside, to Sarah, love always. I called Bill immediately. He came out within 20 minutes, looked at it, and his face went gray. It's making copies now, of objects, of memories. It's getting closer to you, into your life, into your head. What does that mean? It means it's not just hunting you anymore. It's studying you, learning you, preparing. Preparing for what? He grabbed my shoulders, made me look at him. To replace you. That's what they do, these things. When they really want someone, they don't just kill you, they take your place, your face, your life. They become you, and no one knows the difference until it's too late. That's insane. Is it? Look at yourself. Travis, when's the last time you called your son? When's the last time you talked to your sister? When's the last time you left this town? You're already isolated, already alone, already halfway to being no one. It wouldn't take much to finish the job. That night, I didn't work. I called in sick, stayed in my casita with every light on, sage burning, salt lines at every door and window. Around 3:15 a.m., I heard it, scratching at the door. Then my mother's voice. Travis, baby, why are you avoiding me? I just want to talk. I'm sorry about before. I didn't mean to scare you. I just miss you so much. Please let me in. I didn't answer. I sat on my bed, knees pulled to my chest, hands over my ears, trying not to listen. Then Jennifer's voice. This is pathetic, Travis. This is why I left you. This is why Tyler barely talks about you, because you're weak. You've always been weak. Open the door and face your problems for once in your miserable life. Then Tyler's voice. Dad, Dad, I'm scared. Mom says you don't love us anymore. She says you ran away. Dad, please, I need you. Please, open the door. I grabbed my phone and called Tyler. It rang 6 times before he answered, voice thick with sleep. Dad, it's 3 in the morning. Just talk to me, please. Tell me about your day. Tell me anything. I just need to hear your voice. Silence. Then, are you okay? No, no, I'm not. But just talk to me, please. So he did. He told me about football practice, about his math test, about a girl named Emma he liked but was too scared to talk to. And the whole time he talked, I could hear the thing outside my door, listening, learning, perfecting its imitation of my son's voice. When Tyler finally went back to sleep, the scratching stopped, but the voice continued, and now it was perfect, exactly like Tyler. Every pause, every laugh, every inflection. Good night, Dad. I love you. And Dad, one day soon, I'm really gonna need you, and you won't know if it's me or not. And that's gonna kill you, isn't it? Not knowing, not being sure. That's worse than any monster. The doubt, the fear that you'll fail when I really need you. In the morning, I found a message carved into my door frame with something sharp, just one word. Soon. I'm writing this now from the trading post. It's my last shift. I've decided Bill is right. I have to leave. Tonight, after sunrise, I'm packing my car and driving. I don't know where. Maybe back to Oklahoma. Maybe somewhere else. Somewhere far from here. It's 3:47 a.m. right now. I'm burning sage. I've got ash lines at every entrance. I'm doing everything right. But 15 minutes ago, the security camera in the back room detected movement. I haven't gone to check. I'm staying right here behind the counter, ash line between me and the rest of the store. Because I can hear something now from the back room. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, getting closer. And a voice, my mother's voice. But it's coming from inside the building. Travis, baby, I'm so cold. Why won't you help me? I'm right here. I've been here the whole time, waiting for you. Just turn around and look at me. Please, baby, please. I'm not turning around. I'm not looking. I'm watching the security feed on my phone, and I can see the storage room door is open. I didn't open it. Something is walking down the main aisle now. I can see it on the camera. Tall, wrong, arms too long, but wearing my mother's face, my mother's dress. It's smiling at the camera, at me. Found a way in, it says. Finally found a way in. The door was locked, but you never blessed the deliveries, did you? You never checked what came in with the morning stock. Silly boy. Silly, careless boy. I rode in with the bread truck yesterday morning, and I've been waiting in the ceiling ever since. Waiting for you to be alone. Waiting for night. It's getting closer. I can hear it now, without the camera. Footsteps in the store. 20 feet away. 15. I'm hitting send on 911. But I don't think they'll get here in time. 10 feet. I can smell it now. That sweet rot smell. Like meat. Like death. Like my mother's body looked when I found her. 5 feet. The ash line is between us. It has to stop at the ash line. The rules say it has to stop. It's standing at the edge of the ash now, looking down at it, then looking up at me. Rules only work if you follow them perfectly, it says in my mother's voice. And you didn't. You forgot something. Can you guess what? I can't breathe. Can't think. The ceiling vents, it whispers. You never ash the ceiling vents. It steps over the line. The ash doesn't stop it. I ran. I don't remember getting to my car. Don't remember starting the engine. Don't remember the drive. I just remember driving, flooring it, watching the trading post shrink in my rearview mirror. And standing in the parking lot, lit by the overhead lights, was the figure, tall, wrong, wearing my mother's face. It waved at me, slow, deliberate, like it knew exactly where I was going, like it knew I couldn't run far enough. The police found the trading post empty when they arrived. No signs of forced entry, no tracks, no evidence of anything wrong except the security footage, which they said was corrupted and unusable. Bill called me the next day, said he understood, said he'd mail my last paycheck, said I'd done the right thing by running. But then he said something that's haunted me ever since. Travis, you need to know these things. They don't forget. You looked at it. You heard it. You ran from it. In their eyes, that's a challenge. That's disrespect. It's going to follow you now. Not right away. It'll wait. Give you time to relax, to think you're safe. Months, maybe years. But one night you'll hear a knock on your door, and it'll be using your mother's voice, and you'll have to decide all over again whether to open it. And every time you don't, every time you refuse, it'll get angrier, smarter, more determined. That was 3 months ago. I'm back in Oklahoma now. Different town, different job, different life. I'm working at a Home Depot in Broken Arrow. Day shifts only. I live in a ground floor apartment with good locks and motion sensor lights and neighbors close enough to hear me scream. But last night, something happened. I was lying in bed, almost asleep, when I heard 3 slow knocks on my apartment door. Knock, knock, knock. Then my mother's voice, soft and loving. Travis, baby, I'm so cold. Let me in. I didn't answer. I grabbed my phone, turned on every light in the apartment, and sat on my bed with a baseball bat until sunrise. When I finally opened the door at 7 a.m., there was nothing there. No one in the hallway. No footprints. No evidence anyone had been there at all. Just a message scratched into my doorframe in letters so small I almost missed them. Soon. It followed me across 800 miles, across state lines, across whatever boundaries I thought would keep it away. Bill was right. It's not going to stop. It's not going to forget. It's just going to keep coming, keep testing, keep wearing the faces of people I love until I either slip up or go insane or both. So I'm telling you this as a warning. If you work nights, if you're alone, if you hear voices that sound like people you love, don't open the door. Don't answer. Don't engage. Look for the shadow. Look for the wrong details. Look for the things that don't quite fit. Because these things, they're patient, they're smart, and they know exactly how to use your own love against you. What's your worst night shift experience? Have you ever heard voices that shouldn't be possible? Have you ever seen something pretending to be someone you know? Share your story in the comments below. Maybe together we can figure out the rules. Maybe together we can survive. Because I'm starting to think I won't make it much longer on my own. My dog won't come near me, and I haven't looked in a mirror since dawn, so I'm trusting the dog. That's the rule my grandfather taught me when I was 8 years old, watching him work sheep in the high country of Arizona. A dog knows things we don't, he'd said, one hand on his border collie's head. They smell fear, sure, but they also smell wrong. And if your dog ever acts scared of you, you don't ignore it. You figure out why. I wish I'd remembered that advice sooner, before I looked in the water trough, before I saw what was walking beside me. My name is Cole Brennan, and I've been herding sheep in the White Mountains since I was 16. I'm 34 now. 18 years of moving flocks between winter pasture and summer range. 18 years of knowing every trail and water source and dangerous drop-off in this country. I know when storms are coming by, how the wind smells. I know when coyotes are close by, how the sheep cluster. I know this land, or I thought I did. This happened in June of 2024. I was moving 400 head from the lower ranch up to the summer grazing allotment in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forest. It's a 3-day push, maybe 40 miles, following old stock trails through ponderosa pine and across alpine meadows at 8,000 feet. I'd done it a dozen times before with no problems. I had my dog Rex with me, 7-year-old border collie, black and white, smart as hell. Best working dog I'd ever had. Also had my mule Cisco carrying supplies, my satellite phone for emergencies, and enough food and water for 5 days in case weather slowed us down. First day went fine. We made 12 miles, bedded the sheep down in a meadow near Reservation Creek, ate dinner by the fire. Rex curled up next to me like always, head on my lap while I checked the weather on my phone. Normal. Everything normal. Second day started normal too. We were up at dawn, had the sheep moving by 6 a.m. It was a perfect June morning temperature in the low 60s, sky that pure mountain blue you only get above 7,000 feet, air so clean it almost hurt to breathe. We followed the trail north through ponderosa forest, sheep flowing around the trees like water, Rex working the flanks to keep stragglers moving. I was walking point, Cisco behind me, letting the sheep set their own pace. Around 10 a.m., we stopped at a stock tank for water. It's one of those big metal troughs the Forest Service maintains, filled by a spring-fed pipe. I let the sheep drink first, then filled my canteens, while Rex lapped water from a puddle. That's when I should have noticed something was wrong. Rex finished drinking and trotted back toward me. Then he stopped, maybe 10 feet away. His ears went back, his tail tucked, and he started growling at me. Rex, what's wrong, boy? He backed up a step, still growling, showing teeth. I'd never seen him do that. Not to me. Not once in 7 years. Easy. It's just me. Come here. He whined, high-pitched and scared, and backed up another step. Then he turned and ran to the far side of the flock, as far from me as he could get while still staying with the sheep. I stood there, confused, water dripping from my canteen. The hell's gotten into you? No answer, obviously. Rex stayed on the far side of the flock, watching me with his ears flat against his head. I figured maybe he'd seen a snake, gotten spooked, was associating the fear with me somehow. Dogs do weird things sometimes, so I whistled him over. He wouldn't come, just stood there, trembling. Fine, be like that. I finished filling my canteens, got the sheep moving again. Rex worked the flock, but stayed as far from me as possible, keeping the entire herd between us. Every time I tried to get closer, he'd circle away. By noon, I was getting worried and annoyed. I needed Rex close to help navigate a narrow section of trail coming up, and he was acting like I was going to hurt him. We reached the narrow section around 1 p.m. a stretch, where the trail runs along a ridge with a steep drop on the left side. I needed Rex to push the sheep from behind, while I led from the front, keep them from bunching up or spooking near the edge. I whistled the command. Rex ignored me. I shouted it. Rex, get behind. Push him up. He looked at me, whined, but didn't move. Rex, now. He finally obeyed, but I could see him shaking from 50 yards away. He pushed the sheep forward, but his eyes never left me, and his body language was all wrong. Crouched low, tail tucked, ready to bolt. We made it through the narrows without losing any sheep, but something was seriously wrong with my dog. I had worked with animals my whole life, and I knew fear when I saw it. Rex was terrified of me. We stopped for lunch around 2 p.m. in a meadow with good grass. I tied Cisco to a tree, let the sheep graze, sat down on a log to eat a sandwich. That's when I decided to check myself in a mirror. Maybe I had a tick on my face or something else Rex could see, but I couldn't feel. Some reason he was acting so strange. I didn't have a mirror with me, but the stock trough we'd passed had been still and clear as glass. I walked back to it maybe a quarter mile and leaned over the edge to look at my reflection, and my blood turned to ice. My face was there in the water, same as always. Same brown hair, same short beard, same scar on my left eyebrow from a fence post when I was 12. Same blue eyes, same sunburned nose. But my eyes were wrong. They were too far apart. Not by much, maybe an inch, maybe less, but enough that it was noticeable. Enough that my face looked slightly off, like a painting where the proportions weren't quite right. I blinked. The reflection blinked. I touched my face. The reflection touched its face, but the eyes were definitely too far apart. I reached up and felt my face with both hands. The bones felt normal. The spacing felt normal. But in the water, in the reflection, my eyes were wrong. I backed away from the trough, heart hammering, looked at my hands. They looked normal, felt normal. I touched my face again, nose, cheekbones, eye sockets, everything in the right place. But when I looked back at the water, the reflection showed eyes that were too far apart. What the fuck? I whispered. Then I noticed something else in the reflection, something behind me. There was another figure standing about 20 feet back, tall, wearing the same clothes as me, blue work shirt, tan canvas pants, brown hiking boots, olive green ball cap. I spun around. Nothing there, just trees and meadow and mountains. I looked back at the water. The figure was still there in the reflection, standing behind me, same height as me, same build, same clothes. But I couldn't see the face. It was turned away, looking off to the side. Then, slowly, it turned its head toward me. It had my face, exact same face, but the eyes were spaced correctly, normal, the way mine should be, and it smiled. I stumbled backward, away from the trough, breathing hard. When I looked back, the reflection was just me again, just my face, with the wrong eyes, no figure behind me. I ran back to the meadow. Rex was still there, still keeping his distance. The sheep were grazing peacefully. Cisco was dozing in the shade. Everything was normal, except my dog wouldn't come near me, and something in the water had warmed my face. I sat down on the log, trying to think rationally. Dehydration, altitude sickness, some kind of heat exhaustion even though it wasn't that hot. I drank water, ate some jerky, took some deep breaths. Then I made the mistake of checking my phone to see if I had signal. I didn't, but the camera app was open. And the last photo in my gallery wasn't one I'd taken. It was a selfie of me taken that morning, apparently, based on the light. I was standing in the forest, smiling at the camera. But I hadn't taken any selfies. I never took selfies. And I definitely didn't remember taking this one. I zoomed in on the photo. My face looked normal, eyes spaced correctly, but in the background, barely visible between the trees, was another figure wearing my clothes, looking at the camera, at me. I deleted the photo with shaking hands, and I checked the rest of my gallery. 3 more photos I hadn't taken, all selfies, all of me smiling, and in each one, there was another figure in the background, getting closer. In the last photo, it was standing right behind me, close enough to touch. Its hand was reaching toward my shoulder. I threw the phone down like it was burning me. Okay, I said out loud, voice shaking. Okay, something's wrong. Something's really wrong. I looked at Rex. He was watching me from 40 yards away, ears back, trembling. Rex, come. He didn't move. Rex, please, I need you. Something's wrong. Please. He whined, but stayed where he was. That's when I heard the footsteps behind me. Boots on grass, slow and deliberate, coming closer. I turned around. Nothing there. But I could still hear the footsteps circling me now. The grass wasn't moving. There were no tracks, but I could hear boots on ground, clear as day, walking around me in a slow circle. Who's there? My voice came out hoarse. The footsteps stopped right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Then I heard breathing right next to my ear. Slow, steady breathing that matched my own rhythm exactly. And a voice. My voice. Speaking in my exact tone, with my exact accent. You're not real, it said. I'm real. You're the copy. You're the wrong one. I made a sound I'm not proud of, a high-pitched gasp of pure terror. I stumbled forward, tripped over my own feet, went down hard on my hands and knees. When I looked up, there was something standing in front of me. It was me, exact same height, same build, same clothes, same face. But this version's eyes were spaced correctly. This version looked right. And I realized with a sick, dropping feeling in my stomach that I was the one who looked wrong now. I was the one whose face had changed. The other me smiled. See? The dog knows. Dogs always know. You're not Cole. I'm Cole. You're just something wearing his skin, walking around in his body, thinking his thoughts. But you're not real. You're not him. No, I whispered. No, that's not true. I'm me. I'm Cole Brennan. I was born in Show Low. My grandfather taught me to herd. My mother's name is Patricia. My father died when I was 9. I'm real. I'm me. Are you? The other me tilted its head. Then why does your dog hate you? Why does your reflection look wrong? Why can't you remember taking those photos? I didn't take those photos. Then who did? I had no answer. The other me crouched down to my level. I'll tell you who. I did, 'cause I'm the real Cole. I've been walking next to you since dawn, learning you, copying you, replacing you piece by piece. And now I'm almost done. Just a few more hours and the transition will be complete. You'll fade away, and I'll be the only one left, and no one will ever know the difference. That's insane. Is it? Look at your hands. I looked down. My hands were shaking, but they looked normal. Calloused palms, dirt under the nails, small scar on the right thumb from a knife slip 3 years ago. No, really look. I looked closer. The scar was on the wrong thumb. It should be on the right. It was on the left. That's impossible, I whispered. You're the impossible one. You're the glitch, the error, the wrong version, and you're gonna fade. I scrambled to my feet and ran. Didn't know where I was going, just ran. Crashed through the forest, branches whipping my face, lungs burning. Behind me, I could hear footsteps matching my pace exactly. No matter how fast I ran, the footsteps stayed right behind me, never closer, never farther. And my voice calling out, "You can't run from yourself, Cole. You can't escape what you are." I ran for maybe 10 minutes before I couldn't anymore. I collapsed against a tree, gasping, vision swimming. The footsteps stopped. When I looked back, there was nothing there. Just forest, just trees and shadows and the sound of wind in the pines. I checked my hands again. The scar was back on the right thumb, where it should be. Had I imagined it being on the left? Was I losing my mind? I pulled out my phone with trembling hands. The photos were still there, but now when I looked at them, I couldn't tell which figure was me and which was the other. They looked identical. I heard a sound and looked up. Rex was standing about 30 feet away, watching me. His ears were still back, but he'd followed me. He'd stayed with the flock for safety, but he'd followed. "Rex," I said, voice breaking. "Please, boy. It's me. It's really me. I'm Cole. I'm your person. Please." He took a step closer, then another. Still cautious, still scared, but coming toward me. "That's it. Good boy. Come on." He got within 10 feet before he started growling again, but this time he wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me, behind me. I turned slowly. There were two of me standing there, both identical, both wearing the same clothes, both with the same face, same eyes, same everything. They spoke in unison. "Which one is real, Rex? Can you tell? Can you really?" Rex started barking. Loud, aggressive, terrified barking. He turned and ran. I tried to run after him, but my legs wouldn't work right. They felt wrong, like they belonged to someone else, like I was piloting a body that wasn't mine. The two figures stepped closer. They were smiling, identical smiles. "You're fading," they said together. "Can you feel it? The edge is getting blurry. You're becoming less. We're becoming more. By sunset, you won't exist at all. You'll just be a bad dream someone had once. Please," I begged. "Please stop. I don't understand. What are you? What do you want?" They tilted their heads in unison. "We're you. We're the real you. We're what you would be if you weren't so weak, so scared, so human. We're the version of you that belongs here, that understands this land, that knows the old rules." "What rules?" "The rules about shapes, about boundaries, about how skin is just clothing and faces are just masks, and if you know the right words, the right rituals, you can wear anything, be anything, take anything." One of them reached out and touched my face. Its hand was ice cold. "We're skinwalkers, Cole, and we've decided you have a good life, a good shape, a good place in the world. So we're taking it. We're taking you. And you can't stop us because you don't even know if you're real anymore." I slapped the hand away and ran. Really ran this time, ignoring the wrongness in my legs, the weird delay between thinking and moving. I crashed back into the meadow. The sheep were still there, bunched up and nervous. Cisco was pulling at his rope, and Rex was barking at something in the tree line. I looked where he was barking. There were 5 of me standing there. No, 7. No, a dozen. All identical. All watching me with my own face. And they all started walking toward me at the same time. No, 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 no. I grabbed my pack, my phone, started running for the trail, back down the mountain. Forget the sheep, forget the job. I needed to get out of here, get to town, get to people, get to somewhere real. But every direction I turned, there were more of me. They didn't run, just walked. slowly, deliberately, closing in from all sides. Rex was still barking, running in circles, not knowing who to protect or attack. Rex, I screamed. Rex, it's me. I'm the real one. Help me. But which one was I? I looked down at my hands and I couldn't remember if the scar was supposed to be on the right or the left. I couldn't remember which eye had the small gold fleck in it. I couldn't remember if I was right-handed or left-handed. I was forgetting myself. The circle of Mez tightened. They were 20 feet away now, 15, 10, and then Rex made a choice. He ran toward me, the me in the center, the me that was panicking and bit down on my pant leg, tugging, trying to pull me toward the tree line. The dog knows, all the other Mez said in unison. The dog always knows. Looks like you win this round. They stopped walking, started backing away, melting into the shadows of the forest. But before they disappeared completely, one of them called out, "We'll be back. We're always here. Just out of sight, just outside your reflection. And one day you'll slip. You'll forget to check. You'll assume the face in the mirror is yours. And when you do, we'll step through and take your place, and no one will ever know the difference." Then they were gone. I stood there shaking, Rex still tugging at my pants. When I looked down at him, his ears were up. His tail was wagging slightly. He licked my hand. He knew me again, recognized me. Whatever had been wrong, whatever had been changing, Rex's choice had stopped it. I collapsed to my knees and hugged him, crying into his fur. Good boy, good boy. Thank you, thank you. We left the sheep. I know that's wrong. I know it's unprofessional, but I left them. Called my boss on the sat phone once I got signal. Told him I had a medical emergency, needed to come down immediately. He sent another herder up to collect the flock. I hiked out that same day. Didn't stop until I reached my truck. When I got home, I checked every mirror in my house. My face looked normal, eyes spaced correctly, scar on the right thumb, everything where it should be. But that night, I had a dream. I was standing in my bathroom, brushing my teeth, and in the mirror I saw another figure standing behind me, wearing my clothes, my face. It leaned close to my reflection's ear and whispered. Soon, I woke up screaming. That was 3 months ago. I quit the herding job, told my boss I couldn't do the high country anymore, didn't give him a reason. He was disappointed but understanding. Now I work at a feed store in town. Regular hours, surrounded by people. I keep Rex with me everywhere I go, even though the store owner doesn't love having a dog on the premises. But Rex is the only one I trust to tell me if I'm still me. And every morning, I check the mirrors, check my hands, check my reflection, making sure everything's where it should be. Because sometimes, when I'm not paying attention, I'll catch my reflection doing something I didn't do, moving its hand when mine is still, smiling when I'm not, and I know they're still out there, still waiting, still watching for the moment when I forget to check, when I get complacent, when I stop being vigilant. The Skinwalkers didn't give up. They never give up. They just wait. And one day, they'll be patient enough, and I'll be tired enough, and I'll look in the mirror and I won't be sure which one is the reflection and which one is real. And that's when they'll step through and take everything I am. If you work alone in isolated places, if you've ever felt like something was walking beside you when nothing was there, if your animals have ever suddenly refused to come near you, trust them. Trust the animals. They know things we don't. And check your reflections. Check them every day. Make sure the person looking back is really you. Because if it's not, if you see something wrong with your eyes or your hands or your smile, don't wait. Don't try to rationalize it. Run. Get to people. Get to noise and lights and witnesses. Because once they start replacing you, once they start taking your shape piece by piece, you might not have much time before you forget who you were to begin with. Have you ever seen your reflection do something you didn't do? Ever felt like you weren't quite yourself? Share your story below. I need to know I'm not the only one this is happening to. My dead sister called my name from the mesa, and I was halfway there before I remembered we cremated her. I need to start this the right way, because what happened to me near Dulce, New Mexico in August of 2023 defies every rational explanation I've built my life around. I'm a geologist. I have a master's degree from Colorado School of Mines. I have published papers on tuff formations and volcanic stratigraphy. I believe in evidence, in data, in things I can measure and test, but I can't explain what happened on that mesa. And 3 months later, I'm still not sure I escaped. My name is Dr. Ethan Cross. Well, everyone just calls me Ethan. And in August of last year, I was doing field work for my dissertation on tertiary volcanic rocks in the Dulce area. It's remote country, high desert transitioning to ponderosa forest, lots of exposed geology, and not many people, perfect for collecting samples without interference. I'd set up a base camp about 15 miles northwest of Dulce on BLM land with permission from the local Jicarilla Apache authorities. They'd been friendly, but cautious when I'd explained my research. The tribal liaison, a woman named Marie Vigil, had given me maps and camping permits, but she'd also given me warnings. Don't go out after dark, she'd said, sitting across from me in her office. Don't follow voices. Don't go toward the mesa at night, especially if you see lights. I'd smiled politely. What kind of lights? Any kind. Doesn't matter. If you see lights on the mesa after sunset, you stay in camp, you understand? Sure. Absolutely. She'd looked at me hard, like she knew I wasn't taking her seriously. Dr. Cross, I'm not talking about folklore or tradition. I'm talking about people who went up there and didn't come back the same, or didn't come back at all. You're out there alone. You're vulnerable. Please take this seriously. I will, thank you. But I didn't. Not really. I'm a scientist. I don't believe in monsters or spirits or things that can't be explained. So when she handed me a small leather pouch and told me to keep it with me at all times, I had taken it to be polite, then stuffed it in the bottom of my pack and forgot about it. I should have listened. The first week of fieldwork was uneventful. I hiked around collecting samples, documenting outcrops, taking photos and GPS coordinates. The weather was perfect, clear skies, low 80s during the day, 50s at night. I'd camp, cook dinner over my Coleman stove, read by headlamp, sleep under stars so bright they looked fake. On the 8th night, I saw the lights. I was in my tent, reading a paper on my tablet, when I noticed a glow through the tent fabric. At first I thought it was my headlamp reflecting off something, but when I turned the lamp off, the glow was still there. I unzipped the tent and looked out. On top of the mesa, maybe a mile north of my camp, there were lights, 4 or 5 of them, bright white, moving in slow patterns like searchlights or flashlights. They'd sweep across the rock face, disappear, reappear somewhere else. I watched them for maybe 10 minutes. They didn't look like campfires or headlamps. Too bright, too white, almost electric. Probably other researchers, I thought, or maybe BLM doing some kind of survey work. I made a note in my field journal to check it out in the morning, then went to sleep. The next day, I hiked up to the mesa. It took about an hour and a half of scrambling over loose rock and through juniper scrub. When I reached the top, I found nothing. No camp, no equipment, no tire tracks. The only thing up there was bare rock, some scattered pottery sherds, and what looked like an old archaeological site, stone foundations marking where structures had stood centuries ago. Ancestral pueblo, probably common in this area. I took some photos, collected a few geological samples from an interesting basalt formation, and hiked back down. That night, the lights appeared again. Same place, same pattern. I watched them for a while, puzzled, then dismissed it. Light does weird things in the desert. Reflections, refractions, temperature inversions. I'd figure it out eventually. On the 10th night, things changed. I was sitting by my camp stove, heating up some soup, when I heard a voice. Ethan, clear as day. A woman's voice coming from the direction of the mesa. I looked up. Nothing there. Just darkness and stars. Ethan, over here. The voice was familiar. Really familiar. It made something in my chest tighten. I stood up, scanning the darkness. Hello? Who's there? It's me. Come here. I need to show you something. My blood went cold. I knew that voice. I knew it because I'd heard it every day for 23 years until she died. It was my sister Sarah's voice. Sarah had died 6 years ago. Ovarian cancer. Stage 4. Diagnosed too late. I'd been with her at the end, holding her hand while she slipped away in a hospice bed in Denver. We'd cremated her body. I'd scattered her ashes myself at her favorite hiking spot in Rocky Mountain National Park. She was dead. Gone. Not here. Ethan, please. I don't have much time. Come to the mesa. My hands were shaking. This wasn't possible. This was some kind of auditory hallucination. Stress, isolation, maybe mild altitude sickness, even though I was only at 7,000 feet. You're not real, I said out loud. I'm real. I'm here. Please, I need your help. There's something I have to show you, something important. The voice was perfect. Sarah's slight Colorado accent, the way she'd soften the T's, the way she'd say my name with that gentle insistence she'd use when she was trying to convince me to do something. I looked toward the mesa. The lights were there again, brighter than before, almost pulsing. Come on, Eve, like old times. Remember when we'd go hiking, and you'd always want to turn back, and I'd always push you further? Just a little further. Come on. My legs started moving before I consciously decided to walk. Some deep part of my brain heard my sister's voice and wanted to obey, wanted to believe, wanted it to be real so badly that rational thought didn't matter. I grabbed my headlamp, clicked it on, and started walking toward the mesa. I made it maybe 200 yards before I stopped myself, physically grabbed a juniper branch, and held on, forcing myself to stop moving. What the fuck was I doing? Sarah was dead, cremated, scattered. This was not her. This could not be her. I turned around and ran back to camp, breathing hard, hands shaking. I dove into my tent, zipped it shut, and sat there with my headlamp off, listening. For a long time, there was nothing. Just wind and the distant sound of a coyote. Then, Sarah's voice again. Closer now. Why'd you run? I'm your sister. Don't you want to see me? Don't you miss me? You're not Sarah. My voice came out choked. Of course I am. Who else would I be? Come out. Let me see you. I've missed you so much. Sarah's dead. Am I? Are you sure? Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe the hospice made a mistake. Maybe I woke up in the crematorium and now I'm here. And I've been trying to find you. And you're just sitting in a tent, refusing to help me. Tears were running down my face. Stop it. Stop using her voice. It's my voice, Ethan. My real voice. The doctor said I was going into remission. Remember? Right before the end? Maybe they were right. Maybe I got better. Maybe I've been trying to find you and you've been ignoring me because you're too scared to believe in miracles. I was crying now, full sobs shaking my chest, because part of me, a stupid, desperate, grieving part of me, wanted it to be true, wanted to believe she'd somehow survived, somehow found me. Please, the voice said, gentler now. Please, just come out and look at me. Just look. If it's not me, if I'm not your sister, you can go back in the tent. But if it is me, if it really is me, don't you owe it to me to check. I reached for the tent zipper. My hand was shaking so badly I could barely grip it. Then I heard something that made me freeze. A second voice, also Sarah's, coming from a different direction. Don't listen to her, Ethan. That's not me. I'm over here. Come this way. Then a third voice. He's lying. I'm the real Sarah. Come to the mesa. Then a fourth, a fifth. A dozen, all Sarah's voice, all calling my name, all begging me to come out, all saying they were the real one. The voices overlapped and echoed until they didn't sound human anymore, just a chorus of Sarah's voice twisted into something mechanical and wrong. I grabbed my satellite phone with shaking hands and tried to call for help. No signal. I was too far from any towers, too deep in the terrain. The voices got louder, angrier. Ethan, come out. Ethan, look at me. Ethan, why won't you help me? Ethan, I'm dying out here. Ethan, I'm scared. Ethan, please. It hurts. That last one broke me because Sarah had said those exact words in the hospice. It hurts, Eth. Make it stop. Please make it stop. I'd been helpless then, unable to do anything except hold her hand and watch her suffer. And hearing those words again, in her voice, made something inside me crack. I started to reach for the zipper again. Then I remembered the pouch Marie had given me, the one I dismissed as superstitious nonsense. I dug through my pack, found it at the bottom, pulled it out. It was small, leather, tied with a leather cord. It smelled like sage and tobacco. The moment I held it, the voices stopped. Complete silence, like someone had hit a mute button. I sat there in the darkness, clutching the pouch, barely breathing. Then I heard footsteps outside the tent. Slow, deliberate footsteps circling my tent. Not one set, dozens, walking in a circle around me, getting closer with each rotation. I could see shadows moving across the tent fabric in my headlamp's glow. Tall shadows, too tall, with proportions that weren't quite right. Then one of them stopped right outside the tent door. I could see its shadow clearly, humanoid shape, but the arms were too long, hanging down past where the knees should be. It leaned down, bringing its head close to the tent fabric. Ethan, it said in Sarah's voice, but flatter now, emotionless. You're being rude. I came all this way to see you. The least you can do is look at me. You're not Sarah. How do you know? Have you looked? Are you so sure you remember what I look like? It's been 6 years. Faces fade, memories lie. Maybe you've forgotten me. Maybe I look different now. Maybe death changed me. Don't you want to know? The shadow's hand reached toward the tent zipper. I scrambled backward, pressing myself against the far wall of the tent, still clutching the pouch. The zipper started to move. Slowly, someone, something, was opening my tent from the outside. I could see a hand now in the gap. Pale. Too many fingers. Nails that were too long and too dark. Let me in, Ethan. Let me show you what I've become. I did the only thing I could think of. I threw the pouch at the opening. There was a sound, a shriek, a hiss, something that no human throat could make. The hand jerked back. The zipper stopped moving. The shadows around my tent scattered, and I heard running footsteps, dozens of them moving away at speed. Then silence. I sat there for the rest of the night, not moving, barely breathing, waiting for dawn. When the sun finally rose, I packed up my camp in record time. Didn't eat, didn't check my samples, just threw everything in my truck and started driving. I had made it maybe 5 miles before I saw her. Sarah was standing on the side of the road. I slammed on the brakes, my truck skidding on the gravel. My heart was trying to punch through my ribs. She looked exactly like I remembered. Same long brown hair, same small frame, same green eyes. She was wearing clothes. I recognized the blue fleece jacket she'd loved, jeans, hiking boots. She smiled at me. Sarah's smile, the one that crinkled her eyes at the corners. Hey, Eth, she said through the closed window. Going somewhere? I couldn't speak, couldn't move. It's really me this time, I promise. I know last night was scary. That wasn't me. That was them, the things that live on the mesa. But I'm here now, really here. Don't you want to talk to me? Don't you have questions? My hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard, my knuckles were white. I can tell you everything, she continued. What it's like, where I went, what I saw. I can tell you if it hurt at the end. I can tell you if I was scared. I can tell you all the things you wanted to know but were too afraid to ask when I was dying. Tears were streaming down my face. Just pull over, just for a minute. Let me get in the truck. We'll talk, like we used to. Remember our road trips? Remember how we'd drive for hours just talking about nothing? We can do that again. Just you and me. I looked at her face. It was perfect, every detail correct. The small scar above her left eyebrow from when she fell off her bike at age 9, the slight asymmetry in her smile, the gold flecks in her green eyes, but she wasn't casting a shadow. The morning sun was bright and low, casting long shadows from every rock and bush and tree. But Sarah, the thing that looked like Sarah, had no shadow at all. You're not her, I whispered. The smile didn't change, but something in the eyes did. They went flat, dead. How do you know? No shadow. It looked down at where its shadow should be, then back at me. Clever. You're clever, Ethan. Smarter than most, but not clever enough. And it changed. The face stayed the same, but the body elongated, stretching upward until it was 8 feet tall, then 9. The arms grew longer, the fingers extending into claws. The clothes became part of the skin, fusing and melting, but the face stayed Sarah's, perfectly Sarah's. I'll get it right eventually, it said in her voice. The shadow thing, that's just a detail, just a small mistake. Next time I'll remember. And there will be a next time, Ethan, because I know where you live, I know where you work, I know where you go when you're sad and where you go when you're happy. I've been watching you for 6 years, wearing your sister's face, learning everything about you. It leaned down, bringing Sarah's face close to the truck window. And one day, you'll see me and you won't notice the missing shadow. Or I'll appear on a cloudy day when there are no shadows. Or I'll call you on the phone and you won't be able to see me at all. And you'll believe it's really her. You'll want to believe so badly that you'll ignore the warning signs. And when you do, when you finally open that door or answer that call or pull over that truck, I'll have you. It straightened up, smiled with Sarah's face. One more time. See you soon, big brother. Then it walked off the road and into the scrubland, its 2 long legs carrying it in loping strides toward the mesa. In seconds it was gone, disappeared into the landscape like it had never been there. I sat there shaking for maybe 10 minutes before I could make myself drive again. I went straight to Marie's office. She took one look at my face and nodded slowly. You saw them? Yes. Did you go to the mesa? Almost. I started walking, but I stopped myself. And the pouch saved my life. She nodded again. Good. You're one of the lucky ones. Most people don't stop themselves. They follow the voices all the way up, and we find them 3 days later, if we find them at all. Usually we don't. The mesa takes them and doesn't give them back. What are they? Skinwalkers. Ye now Lushi. They're witches who broke every sacred law, who killed their own family to gain power. They're not human anymore. They wear skins, animal skins, human skins. It doesn't matter. They wear faces of the dead and use them to hunt the living. Why my sister? How did they know about her? They didn't know. They read you. Your grief, your guilt, your love. They can sense that kind of pain from miles away. It draws them like blood draws sharks. And once they lock onto someone, they dig into the memories, pull out the faces that will hurt the most, and use them as bait. I was crying again. She looked so real. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. Marie reached across her desk and squeezed my hand. But you survived. You didn't follow. You didn't believe. That's what matters. It said it knows where I live, that it's been watching me for 6 years. Her face went grave. Then you need to leave. Not just Dulce, leave New Mexico. Go back to Colorado. Go somewhere else entirely. Because if it's been watching you that long, If it's that invested, it won't stop. It'll follow. It'll wait for the right moment. And one day when you're vulnerable or tired or just desperate enough to believe in miracles, it'll try again. I can't run forever. No. But you can be vigilant. You can check for shadows. You can carry protection. You can tell people about this so they know what to look for if something seems wrong. She pulled out another pouch, identical to the first, and handed it to me. Keep this with you, always. And remember, if you ever see your sister again, if you ever hear her voice, you check for the shadow first, every time, no matter how real it seems. I left Dulce that day, abandoned my research, left my samples in the field, drove straight back to Denver. That was 3 months ago. I haven't gone back. I've been trying to write my dissertation using incomplete data, and my advisor is frustrated with me, but I can't explain why I left. Can't tell anyone what really happened, because who would believe me? I'm a geologist, a scientist. I'm supposed to deal in facts and evidence, not stories about shape-shifting witches and voices in the dark. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And 2 weeks ago, something happened that made me realize Marie was right. It followed me. I was walking to my car after a late night in the lab. The parking garage was nearly empty, dimly lit. I was exhausted, thinking about my data, not paying attention. Then I heard it. Sarah's voice behind me. I spun around. She was standing maybe 30 feet away next to a concrete pillar. Same blue fleece jacket, same smile. Hey, long time. Can we talk? My hand went to the pouch in my pocket. I always carry it now. Always. Stay back. I just want to talk. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I looked down, looked at the concrete floor, looked at where her shadow should be. It was there. A perfect shadow, falling exactly where it should based on the overhead lights. My breath caught. You have a shadow. Of course I do. I told you I'd get it right. Sarah smiled wider. So, can we talk now? Or are you going to keep running? I turned and ran for my car keys, already in my hand. Behind me, I heard laughter. Sarah's laugh, but wrong, layered with something else underneath. When I got to my car and looked back, she was gone. But there was something on my windshield, a note written in Sarah's handwriting. Getting closer. Love, Sarah. I called Marie that night, told her what happened. You need to leave Denver. She said, they found you. They know where you work, where you park, where you're vulnerable. Move. Change your routine. Don't tell anyone where you're going. For how long? I don't know. Maybe forever. Maybe until they get bored and move on to someone else. Or maybe, she paused, maybe until they get you. There has to be another way. There is. You can let a medicine man do a ceremony, try to break the connection, try to protect you properly. But that's expensive, and it doesn't always work. And it requires you to believe in things your scientific brain doesn't want to accept. Uh, at this point, I'll believe anything. Then come back here. We'll help you, but you have to want help. You have to be willing to accept that there are things in this world that can't be explained by geology and data. I'm writing this from a motel in Albuquerque. I'm heading back to Dulce tomorrow, going to meet with Marie and the medicine man she recommended, going to do whatever ceremony or ritual or prayer they think will break this connection, because I can't keep running. I can't keep jumping at every voice, checking every shadow, terrified that the next time I see my sister it'll be real and I'll miss my chance to actually talk to her, or that it won't be real and I'll fall for the trap. I don't know if this will work. I don't know if anything can protect me from something that's been hunting me for 6 years, something that knows my face and my voice and my greatest grief. But I have to try, because 3 nights ago, I woke up at 2 a.m. to find Sarah sitting at the foot of my bed. She was just sitting there, smiling, not saying anything, just watching me sleep. I grabbed the pouch from my nightstand and held it up. She tilted her head, still smiling. That won't work forever, Eve. One day you'll forget it, or lose it, or just be too tired to care, and I'll be waiting. Then she walked through my locked door and disappeared. I haven't slept since. If you've ever seen someone you loved after they died, if you've ever heard voices calling you toward darkness, if you've ever felt like something is wearing a familiar face to get close to you, check the shadow. Check every time. No matter how real it seems, no matter how badly you want to believe. Because the worst thing about skinwalkers isn't that they can look like anyone, it's that they choose to look like the people you loved most. The people whose faces still make you ache with grief and longing. And they know that grief makes you stupid, makes you willing to believe in miracles, makes you vulnerable. Don't let them use your love against you. Have you ever seen someone you know was dead? Ever heard a voice that couldn't be real? Share your story in the comments. Maybe together we can figure out how to fight back. The pregnant woman was speaking backwards, and the thing inside her belly pressed a handprint against the skin from the inside. I'm a midwife. I've been delivering babies on the Navajo Nation for 11 years. I've seen breech births, twins, emergency C-sections in the back of ambulances. I've seen complications that would make your stomach turn. I thought I'd seen everything. I was wrong. My name is Angela Tsosi, and I work at the Indian Health Service Clinic in Shiprock, New Mexico. I'm DNA Navajo, born and raised on the res, left for nursing school in Albuquerque, came back because my people needed healthcare workers who understood the culture, who spoke the language, who wouldn't judge traditional practices. I love my job, most days. But after what happened on the night of September 14th, 2023, I've started wondering if I should have stayed in Albuquerque. It was a Thursday night. I was working the overnight shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which meant I was the only midwife on duty. We had 2 nurses, 1 doctor on call at home, and a security guard who was usually asleep in his car. Quiet night. We'd had 2 patients come through, 1 kid with a broken arm, 1 elderly woman with chest pains we'd stabilized and sent to Farmington. Around 2:30 a.m., I was in the break room drinking terrible coffee and trying to stay awake when I heard the front doors bang open. "Hello, I need help, please," a woman's voice, panicked. I grabbed my stethoscope and ran to the front desk. There was a woman standing in the lobby, holding her belly. She was maybe mid-20s, Navajo, long black hair loose around her shoulders. She was wearing a traditional velvet dress, dark purple, and she was very, very pregnant. Full term, maybe past it. "Please," she gasped. "The baby's coming. I need help." Okay, calm down. Let's get you to a room." I took her arm, started guiding her toward the birthing suite. "What's your name?" "Mary." She was breathing hard, face twisted in pain. Mary Bagay. I knew that name. I had delivered Mary's baby 4 months ago. A healthy girl, 7 pounds, no complications. I remembered because Mary had been so grateful, crying and thanking me in Navajo while I cleaned up the newborn. But the woman holding my arm was definitely 9 months pregnant. "Mary, when's your due date?" "2 weeks ago. I'm overdue. The contractions started an hour ago." I got her into the birthing room, helped her onto the bed. "Okay, let me check you. How far apart are the contractions?" "5 minutes. Maybe less." She gripped the bed rail, breathing through clenched teeth. I washed my hands, snapped on gloves, started the examination. She was definitely in labor, dilated to 6 centimeters, contractions regular and strong. Everything seemed normal, except this was impossible. "Mary," I said carefully, "I delivered your baby in May. Remember? A little girl. You named her Jolene." She looked at me confused. "What?" "No, this is my first baby. Mary, I was there. I remember you. You had your baby 4 months ago." "I don't know what you're talking about." Another contraction hit and she cried out, gripping my hand hard enough to hurt. I tried to stay calm. Maybe it was a different Mary Begay, common name, or maybe she was confused, in pain, not thinking clearly. I called out to the hallway. Jenny, I need you. One of the nurses, Jenny Yazzie, appeared in the doorway. What's wrong? Can you pull up the records for Mary Begay? Birthday. I looked at the patient. What's your birthday, Mary? October 7th, 1998. I felt my stomach drop. That was the right birthday. The same Mary. Jenny came back a minute later with a tablet, frowning. Mary Begay, October 7th, 98. Last visit was June 3rd. Postpartum checkup. Everything normal. Baby healthy. The woman on the bed stared at us. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been here before. This is my first baby. Please, just help me. Another contraction, this one stronger. She screamed, back arching off the bed. And that's when I noticed something wrong with her voice. The scream was normal. But when she spoke, please help me, the words sounded reversed, like someone had recorded her speaking and played it backwards. The phonemes were in the wrong order. I looked at Jenny. Did you hear that? Hear what? The way she's talking, it sounds. Mary screamed again, and this time I saw it. Her belly moved, not like a baby kicking, like something pressing against the inside of her skin, hard, trying to push through. And then a handprint appeared from the inside, 5 fingers pressing out against the skin of her abdomen, so hard the flesh went white, but the fingers were wrong, too long, with too many joints. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over my own feet. What the fuck? What? Jenny stepped closer. What's wrong? You don't see that? I pointed at Mary's belly. The handprint was still there, pressing, moving across her stomach like something was crawling around inside her. Mary was crying, but when I looked at her face, really looked, I saw her eyes were wrong. They were pleading, terrified, but her mouth was smiling. Her lips were moving, but the words coming out didn't match. Help me, her mouth said, but I could hear another voice underneath Mary's real voice, muffled and distant, screaming, Don't touch me. Get it out. Please, get it out. Jenny, call Dr. Nez, right now. Angela, what's wrong? She's just in labor. Call him. Jenny ran. I stood there, frozen, watching the thing inside Mary's belly move. It wasn't a baby. I felt babies kick, seen them move under the skin. This was different. This was deliberate, calculating. The handprint pressed harder, and I could see the outline of an arm now, then a face pushing against the inside of her abdomen, like it was trying to see out. Mary's mouth kept talking in that backwards voice. Please help the baby. It's coming. It hurts. But her eyes were screaming. I realized with sick certainty Mary was trapped inside her own body. Something else was controlling her, wearing her like a suit, and she was still conscious, still aware, still screaming from somewhere deep inside. Mary, I whispered, can you hear me? The real you? Her eyes locked onto mine. Tears ran down her cheeks. Her mouth kept smiling, kept saying those backwards words, but her eyes begged. The thing inside her belly pressed harder. The skin stretched. For a horrible second, I thought it was going to tear through. Then Mary's body convulsed. She sat up with inhuman speed, grabbed my wrists with a grip like iron. Her face was inches from mine, and I could smell something coming from her mouth, something sweet and rotten, like spoiled fruit and meat. You're going to deliver this baby, the backwards voice said, clearer now. You're going to reach inside and pull it out and bring it into this world. And you're not going to ask questions. Let go of me. I tried to pull away but couldn't. Her grip was too strong. This baby needs to be born. Tonight. Now. And you're going to help. Because that's your job. You help bring life into the world. You don't ask where it came from. Behind the backwards words, I could hear Mary's real voice, faint and desperate. Don't let it out. Please don't let it out. Kill me if you have to, but don't let it. Her body convulsed again. Her grip loosened and I yanked my arm away, stumbling backward into the wall. Mary, the thing wearing Mary, lay back on the bed, breathing hard. Her belly was moving constantly now, something thrashing inside, eager to get out. It's time, the backwards voice said. The baby's coming. You need to catch it. No, my voice was shaking. No, I'm not. You took an oath. You helped bring babies into the world. This is a baby. It needs you. It needs to be born. You wouldn't let a baby die, would you? You wouldn't refuse to help? Jenny burst back in. Dr. Nez is on his way. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Too long. Mary's body started to push. I could see the contractions rippling across her belly, but they weren't normal. They moved in the wrong direction, starting at the top and moving down in waves that looked mechanical, artificial. I need you to check the dilation, the backwards voice said calmly. The baby's crowning. You need to catch it. Angela, what's happening? Jenny looked between me and the patient, confused. I grabbed Jenny's arm, pulled her close, whispered, That's not Mary. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong. We need to wait for Dr. Nez. What do you mean that's not? Mary screamed. A real scream this time. Not backwards. The sound of genuine agony. And her water broke. But the fluid that poured out wasn't amniotic fluid. It was black. Thick and black like oil. And it smelled like death. It pooled on the floor, steaming slightly, and where it touched the linoleum, the floor started to discolor, to corrode. Jenny made a sound of disgust and backed toward the door. You need to catch the baby, Mary's backwards voice insisted. It's coming now. And I could see the crown, but it wasn't a baby's head. It was something else. Something pale and wet and wrong, with too many angles, pushing its way out of Mary's body. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run, but I'm a midwife. I've delivered hundreds of babies. When a baby is crowning, you don't run. You catch it. You help it into the world. But this wasn't a baby. Angela, we need to go. Jenny was at the door. We need to go. Right now. The thing pushed further out. I could see its shape now, vaguely humanoid, but wrong. The head was too large, misshapen. The skin was translucent, showing muscle and bone underneath. Mary was sobbing, her real voice finally breaking through. Please kill me. Please just kill me. Don't let it be born. It'll spread. It'll take more. Please. Angela. Please. I'm begging you. The backwards voice cut her off. Catch the baby. And something in that command hit me like a physical force. My hands moved on their own, reaching forward, preparing to catch. No. I yanked my hands back, shook my head violently. No, I won't. I won't help you. Mary's body sat up again. The thing was half out now, hanging from her, dripping that black fluid. Her eyes had gone completely black. No whites, just solid darkness. You will help. You have to. It's the rules. Midwives catch babies. That's what you do. You can't refuse. It's not a baby. How do you know? Have you ever seen a Skinwalker birth? Have you ever seen what happens when we reproduce? We wear the skins of pregnant women and we birth ourselves anew, and we need humans to catch us because that's how the ritual works. The midwife must consent. The midwife must help. And you're going to help because you're weak and human and bound by oaths you can't break. Watch me. I turned and ran. Behind me, I heard Mary's body hit the floor. Heard something wet and heavy pull itself free. Heard a sound, a wail, a cry that was nothing like a newborn baby. It was too deep, too old, too knowing. I ran down the hallway, Jenny right behind me. We crashed into the break room and I slammed the door. Locked it. What the fuck was that? Jenny was hyperventilating. What the fuck? What the fuck? Skinwalker. The word came out shaky. My grandmother told me stories. Things that wear human skins. things that can take over bodies, things that birth themselves through stolen women. That's not real. That's just a sound in the hallway, something dragging itself along the floor, getting closer. Then Mary's voice, but wrong, layered with something else. Angela, I know you're in there. The baby needs you. It needs to feed. New births need to feed within the first hour or they die. And you're the closest source. Come out. Let it feed. It'll be quick. We're not coming out, I screamed. Then we'll come in. The door handle started to turn, but I'd locked it. It shouldn't turn. But it kept turning anyway, the lock clicking uselessly, and I realized with horror that locks only worked if the thing on the other side played by human rules. Denny and I grabbed a desk, shoved it against the door, then the filing cabinet, then chairs, everything we could move. The door rattled. Something threw itself against it from the other side. Once, twice, 3 times. Then silence. Maybe it gave up, Jenny whispered. I didn't believe that for a second. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze, scratching above us in the ceiling tiles. I looked up just as a tile lifted and something pale dropped through. It landed on the floor between us and the door, and I got my first clear look at it. It was vaguely baby-shaped, about the size of a newborn, but the proportions were all wrong. The head was too big, hairless and translucent. I could see the skull underneath, and there were too many bones fitting together in impossible ways. The eyes were open, huge, and black and aware. The mouth was too wide, showing rows of tiny sharp teeth. It stood up on legs that bent backward at the knee, stood upright like a toddler, not a newborn, and it looked at me with those black eyes, and I knew it was thinking, calculating, hunting. Feed, it said in a voice that was somehow both a baby's cry and an old man's rasp. Feed, feed, feed. It took a step toward me. I grabbed the first thing I could reach, a coffee mug, and threw it. The mug shattered against the thing's head. It didn't even flinch. Feed. Another step. Jenny was pressed against the wall, frozen in terror. The thing's mouth opened wider. The jaw unhinged like a snake's, showing a throat that went down further than it should, that seemed to have no end. I looked around desperately. There had to be something. The fire extinguisher. I grabbed it off the wall, pulled the pin, aimed at the thing, and squeezed. White foam exploded out, hitting the creature full in the face. It shrieked a sound so high-pitched my ears rang and stumbled backward. The foam was burning it. Where it touched the translucent skin, the flesh bubbled and blackened. I kept spraying until the extinguisher was empty. The thing was on the floor now, writhing, that horrible shriek filling the room. Parts of it were dissolving, melting into black puddles that steamed and corroded the linoleum. Then Mary's voice from the hallway. What have you done? What have you done? The door exploded inward, desk and filing cabinet flying across the room. Mary's body stood in the doorway, but it wasn't Mary anymore. It had shed the skin like a coat. What stood there was tall 7, maybe 8 feet, with skin that looked like it had been flayed, wet and red and raw. It still wore Mary's face like a mask hanging loose from its head. You killed my child, it said, and the backwards voice was gone, replaced by something ancient and full of hate. You killed my newborn. You broke the oldest rule. Midwives don't kill babies. They catch them. They help them live. You've damned yourself. It wasn't a baby. My voice was steady despite the terror. It was an abomination. It was mine. And now you owe me a debt. A life for a life. You'll pay it. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But one day you'll be pregnant. Or your daughter will. Or your granddaughter. And I'll be there. I'll take the skin. I'll wear the body. And I'll birth myself again. And you'll be the midwife who has to catch me. And next time you won't refuse. It took a step toward me. Then headlights swept through the window. A car door slammed. Dr. Nez's voice. Angela? Jenny? What's going on? The thing's head snapped toward the sound. It made a clicking noise, then looked back at me. This isn't over. Then it ran, not like a human on all fours, spine arching and flexing, moving with horrible speed. It crashed through the window in an explosion of glass and disappeared into the darkness. Dr. Nez found us in the break room, covered in fire extinguisher foam and black ichor, staring at the dissolving remains of the thing I'd killed. He took one look at the scene at the broken window, at the puddles of black fluid eating through the floor, at our faces, and said quietly, Skinwalker? We nodded. Where's the mother? That was the Skinwalker. He closed his eyes. And the baby? I pointed at the puddle. He was quiet for a long time. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in rapid Navajo to someone I couldn't hear. When he hung up, he looked at both of us. The tribal police are coming. So is a medicine man. We're gonna have to quarantine this room. Probably burn everything in it. The black fluid, it's corrosive and it carries spiritual contamination if it got in the ventilation system. He didn't finish the thought. What about Mary? I asked. The real Mary. Is she dead? She died when they took her skin. The moment it inhabited her body, her soul was gone. What you saw was just the meat being puppeted. His voice was gentle. I'm sorry, Angela. I know you delivered her first baby. I know you knew her. I started crying then. For Mary. For her real baby, who would grow up without a mother. For the thing I'd killed, even though it wasn't really a baby. For the violation of everything I believed about my job. The medicine man arrived with sage and cedar, and things I didn't recognize. He blessed us, blessed the room, performed ceremonies that lasted until dawn. The tribal police came, took statements, told us this would be classified as animal attack in the official reports. Dr. Nez sent us home with strict instructions. Don't work alone. Don't work nights. And if a patient seems wrong, if their voice sounds backwards, if their eyes are wrong, if you feel that instinct that says something's off, you trust it. You call me. You don't try to help them yourself. That was 4 months ago. I still work at the clinic, but I don't take night shifts anymore. I work days only, always with at least 2 other people present. I keep sage in my pockets. I have the medicine man's number on speed dial, and I check every pregnant woman who comes through. Check their eyes, their voice, their shadow. Make sure they're really human before I agree to help. Because the thing was, right about one thing, midwives are bound by oaths. We help bring life into the world. We catch babies. We don't refuse. But we can refuse to catch monsters. Last week, a pregnant woman came into the clinic. She was in labor, contractions close together, clearly about to deliver. Everything seemed normal, but when she spoke, asking for help, her voice sounded just slightly wrong. Not backwards, not exactly, just off, like it was coming from further away than it should. And when I looked at her belly, I swear I saw a handprint, just for a second, pressing from the inside. I told her we were at capacity and she needed to go to Farmington. She left without argument, which made me even more sure I'd made the right call, because real women in labor don't leave quietly when you refuse to help them. They argue, they insist, they panic. Monsters wear the skin of panic, but underneath they're always calculating, always patient, always willing to wait for another opportunity. I don't know if the thing that took Mary will come back for me. Maybe it was bluffing. Maybe it's already found another midwife, another clinic, another way to birth itself. Or maybe it's waiting, watching, biting. It's time until I let my guard down. Either way, I'm ready. And I'm telling you this as a warning. If you work in healthcare, if you help bring babies into the world, If you're ever in a position where someone needs you to catch a newborn, check first. Make sure it's human. Look for the backwards voice. Look for the handprint pressing from inside. Look for the black eyes and the wrong smell and that instinct that screams danger. Because not everything that looks like a baby is a baby. And some births should never be completed. If you work in healthcare and you've seen something that seemed wrong during a delivery, if you've ever felt like something was wearing a patient's skin, share your story below. We need to know what we're dealing with. We need to protect each other. The burial had been disturbed from the inside, and my field vest was in the grave with bones that were 900 years old. Let me explain how I got here. Standing at the edge of an open grave at 3 in the morning, watching the police try to make sense of something that defies rational explanation. Let me explain how a simple archaeological survey turned into a nightmare that I'm still living through 6 weeks later. My name is Dr. Rebecca Marsh. I'm a bioarchaeologist specializing in ancestral Pueblo and mortuary practices. I have a PhD from University of New Mexico, 15 years of fieldwork experience, and a reputation for doing things by the book. I follow protocols. I respect cultural sensitivity. I work with tribal consultation teams on every project. I thought that would protect me. I thought if I did everything right, if I honored the dead and respected the traditions, I'd be safe. I was wrong. In July of 2024, I was contracted to do a survey of archaeological sites near Chaco Culture National Historical Park. Standard work document existing sites, assess their condition, make recommendations for preservation. The National Park Service does these surveys every few years to track erosion and vandalism. I had a consultation team from the Navajo Nation with me for the first week. 3 cultural specialists who walked the sites with me, identified what was significant, told me what to avoid. They were professional, knowledgeable, and very clear about the rules. Don't disturb anything. Tom Benally, the lead consultant, told me on day 1, don't move rocks, don't dig, don't even think about touching burial sites. Document from a distance and move on. Absolutely. That's standard practice anyway. I mean it, Dr. Marsh. The people who lived here, their spirits are still connected to these places. You disturb their rest. You invite something in. And out here, he gestured at the empty landscape, red rock mesas, scrubland, vast sky. Out here, there are things that wait for that kind of invitation. I nodded, taking notes. I'd heard similar warnings before. Every culture has stories about respecting the dead. I believed in the spiritual significance even if I didn't believe in literal ghosts or curses. What kind of things? I asked. Tom was quiet for a long moment. Skinwalkers, witches, people who broke every sacred law to gain power. They hide in the old places, the liminal spaces. They wait for someone to make a mistake, to break a boundary. And when they find an opening, he didn't finish. I'll be careful. I promise. The consultation team left after a week. Their funding only covered 7 days, and I had another 3 weeks of survey work ahead of me. They gave me their phone numbers, made me promise to call if I found anything unusual, and left me with sage bundles and a small leather pouch that smelled like cedar. Keep this with you, Tom said, and if you find burial sites that have been disturbed by animals, by weather, by anything, you call us immediately. Don't investigate on your own. Don't try to document it. Just call. I promised I would. The first 2 weeks alone were fine. I documented room blocks, kivas, petroglyphs. I took photos, GPS coordinates, notes on condition. I camped each night, cooked over my camp stove, read by headlamp. Quiet, peaceful work. On day 16, I found the burial. It was in a small alcove at the base of a cliff, partially hidden by rockfall. I almost missed it, but the late afternoon sun hit the rocks at an angle that showed a shadow, a void behind the rubble. I climbed over the rocks carefully, camera in hand. The alcove was maybe 8 feet deep and 6 feet wide, and at the back, there was an opening in the floor, a burial cyst, probably. Common in ancestral Puebloan sites, they'd dig a pit, place the body inside, cover it with stone slabs. This one had been opened. The stone slabs that should have covered it were pushed aside, not broken or weathered, pushed, like someone had lifted them from below. I felt a chill run down my spine. I pulled out my phone, ready to call Tom, but I stopped because I wanted to look first. Just look. If it was just animal activity, maybe a badger digging around, I didn't need to bother the consultation team. I could document it and report it tomorrow. I leaned over the edge of the cyst, turned on my flashlight, and looked inside. The burial was empty. Not empty like it had been looted, empty like the body had left. The floor of the cyst was scattered with bones, vertebrae, ribs, finger bones, but they were scattered outward from the center, like something had burst out from the middle. And in the dirt, I could see marks, handprints, dozens of them, pressed into the soil, leading from the center of the burial up the walls and over the edge. My hands were shaking. This wasn't right. This wasn't animal activity. This was something else. I should have called Tom right then. But I'm a scientist. I wanted to document first. Evidence before interpretation. I climbed down into the cyst. It was about 5 feet deep. I took photos of the scattered bones, the handprints, the marks on the wall. I measured the dimensions. I was being careful, professional. That's when I saw my field vest. It was lying in the center of the burial, on top of the scattered bones. My vest olive green, with my university's logo on the breast. My name embroidered on the pocket. The vest I was currently wearing, I looked down at myself. I was wearing my field vest, same one. I could see my name on the pocket, Dr. R. Marsh. There was in the dirt, another vest, identical. I picked it up with trembling hands. It was real. Fabric, weight, the small tear on the left pocket where I'd caught it on barbed wire 3 years ago. Even the stains were the same, red dust, coffee, ink, and it was old. The fabric was rotting, falling apart, like it had been buried for years. I turned it over. On the back, written in what looked like dried blood, were words in a language I didn't recognize. Some kind of pictographic script, maybe ancestral Puebloan, maybe something else. My radio crackled. I always kept it on in case of emergencies, even though there was rarely anyone in range. Rebecca, my own voice, coming from the radio. Rebecca, get out of the burial. I dropped the vest like it was burning me. Scrambled for the radio clipped to my belt. Who is this? How do you? It's you. I'm you. I'm the you that didn't get out in time. I'm still here. I've been here for 900 years, wearing your skin, waiting for you to make the same mistake I did. I looked around wildly. The alcove was empty, just rocks and shadows. This isn't funny, whoever you are. Look at the bones, Rebecca. Really look. I pointed my flashlight at the scattered remains. Most were clearly ancient brown and weathered, but some were different. Some were newer, paler, and one of them was a skull. Recent enough that tissue still clung to it. The skull had my dental work. I could see the crown on the upper left molar, the filling on the right canine. No, I whispered. No, no, no. You climbed into the burial, my voice said from the radio. You touched the vest. You broke the boundary. And now it's starting, the exchange. You're becoming me, the one who died here. And I'm becoming you, the one who lives. It happens slowly, over hours, over days, but it's already started. Can't you feel it? My hands. I looked at my hands. They looked normal, but the skin felt wrong, tight, like it didn't quite fit. Check your reflection in your phone camera. Look at your face. I didn't want to, but I had to know. I opened the camera app on my phone, switched to front-facing camera. My face looked back at me, but the eyes were wrong, too far apart, just by a fraction, but enough to notice, enough to make my face look not quite like mine. I made a sound half gasp, half sob. It's already happening, my voice said. You're fading. I'm solidifying. By tomorrow, you'll be bones in a grave, and I'll be doctor. Rebecca Marsh, heading back to civilization with your truck and your equipment and your life, and no one will ever know the difference. How do I stop it? You can't. The ritual is already in motion. I've been here for so long, Rebecca. 900 years wearing the skin of an ancestral Puebloan burial, waiting for someone like you to come. Someone who looks close enough. Someone who makes the mistake of entering sacred ground. And now I can finally leave. I started climbing out of the cyst, hands slipping on the stone. I had to get out. I had to get help. But when I reached the top, something was standing in the alcove entrance. It was me, the exact same height, same build, same clothes, but this version's eyes were spaced correctly. This version looked right. Going somewhere? It said with my voice. Stay back. I grabbed a rock, held it up like a weapon. The other me smiled. You can't fight yourself. You can't hurt me without hurting you. We're linked now, bound by the ritual. The more you resist, the faster it happens. What do you want? I want to leave. I want to taste food again, feel sunshine, sleep in a real bed. I want everything you have. Your life, your career, your family. I've earned it. 900 years of waiting, 900 years of being nothing but bones and dust and rage. It took a step closer. I swung the rock. It caught the thing in the shoulder. The exact same spot on my own shoulder exploded in pain. I cried out, dropped the rock, grabbed my shoulder. No blood, no wound, but the pain was real. The other me laughed. See, we're the same now. You hurt me, you hurt yourself. Please, I begged. Please, there has to be a way. There is. You accept it, you stop fighting, you let the exchange complete peacefully, you'll just fade away, like falling asleep. And I'll walk out of here and live your life and no one will ever know. And if I don't, then you suffer. You fight and struggle and feel yourself dissolving piece by piece while I get stronger. It'll take days instead of hours. You'll be conscious for all of it. You'll feel yourself becoming bones while I become flesh. Is that what you want? I ran, scrambled past the thing that wore my face, over the rocks, down the slope. Behind me, I could hear footsteps, matching my pace exactly. No matter how fast I ran, it stayed right behind me. I made it to my truck, fumbled with the keys. My hands looked wrong now, thinner, the skin grayer. I could see the bones underneath. I got the door open, threw myself inside, locked it, looked in the rearview mirror. The thing was standing right behind the truck, watching, waiting. I started the engine with shaking hands and drove. Didn't care about the rough terrain, didn't care about the equipment I was leaving behind, just drove. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, the thing was in the back seat. I screamed, swerved. The truck went off the dirt track, bounced over rocks. I slammed on the brakes. The thing leaned forward between the front seats. You can't run from yourself, Rebecca. I'm inside you now, part of you. The more you panic, the faster I take over. I grabbed my phone, hand shaking so badly I could barely unlock it. I called Tom. He answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. Dr. Marsh? It's 3 in the morning. I found a burial. It was disturbed from the inside. I went into it. I touched something. There's something happening to me. Please, you have to help me. A long pause. Then, where are you? About 15 miles northwest of Chaco, near site NM29. I'm in my truck. There's something, someone. It looks like me. It says it's been waiting 900 years. It says it's taking my place. Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, stay calm. Where exactly is this thing? I looked in the back seat. Empty. It was here. It was just movement in the rear view mirror. The thing was standing in front of the truck now, staring at me through the windshield. It's in front of me. Tom, what is it? Skinwalker. An old one. They find burial sites. Ancient ones. And they hide inside. Wait for someone to disturb the grave. And when someone does, they use the ritual to swap places. The living becomes the dead becomes the living. How do I stop it? You can't. Not once the exchange starts, but you can slow it down. Keep moving. Don't sleep. Don't let it touch you. And get to me. I'm in Farmington. And if you can make it here, I might be able to break the connection. How long do I have? If you keep fighting, maybe 48 hours, maybe less. The thing outside tapped on the windshield. Tick tock, Rebecca. Every minute you waste is a minute closer to becoming bones. I put the truck in reverse, backed up, swung around, and drove toward the highway. The thing kept pace, sometimes running alongside the truck, sometimes appearing in the back seat, sometimes on the hood, face pressed against the windshield, smiling, and every time I looked at it, I looked a little less like myself. My skin was grayer now, thinner. I could see the outline of my skull. My hands on the steering wheel looked skeletal. I made it to the highway around 4 a.m. It turned south toward Farmington. It was a 2-hour drive. I had to stay awake, had to keep moving, but I was so tired. My body felt wrong light, insubstantial, like I was made of paper instead of flesh. The thing sat in the passenger seat now, looking solid and real and alive. You're doing well, it said conversationally, fighting harder than most, but it doesn't matter. Look at yourself. I looked in the mirror. My face was barely recognizable. The flesh had receded, leaving bone visible beneath translucent skin. My eyes had sunken into their sockets. By the time you reach Farmington, you'll be dead, it said, and I'll be the one driving. I'll be the one who walks into Tom's office and says you had an accident, that you fell into a burial and hurt yourself and barely made it out. Everyone will believe me, because I'll be you. Why are you doing this? Because I want to live. I died 900 years ago, murdered by my own family because I practiced forbidden magic. They buried me in that cyst and sealed me in with curses, but I found a way out, a way to trade places with the living. And I've been waiting so long for someone like you, someone who looks enough like me, someone careless enough to break the rules. I wasn't careless. I'm a professional. You climbed into a sacred burial alone at night. You touched objects that didn't belong to you. You broke every rule your consultation team gave you. You did this to yourself. Tears ran down my face, or what was left of my face. I drove faster. The truck rattled over the rough highway. Dawn was starting to break purple-gray light in the east. Almost there, I whispered. Just stay awake. Just keep driving. But my hands were losing substance. I could see through them now. The steering wheel was visible beneath my translucent fingers. The thing that looked like me reached over and put its solid, real hand on the wheel. Let me drive, it said gently. You're too weak now. Let me help. No. You're gonna crash. You're gonna die anyway. At least let me get your body to Farmington. At least let me give you a proper burial. I wanted to. God, I was so tired, so weak. But I saw the sign. Farmington, 15 miles. I gritted my teeth and drove. The thing's hand tightened on the wheel. Let go. No. Let go. Its voice changed deeper, older, full of rage. The hand on the wheel wasn't human anymore. Too many joints, claws instead of fingernails. I yanked the wheel hard to the right. The truck swerved off the road. bounced over dirt and rocks. The thing screamed a sound nothing human could make. I slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded to a stop. In the sudden silence, I looked at the thing. It wasn't bothering to look human anymore. It was tall, thin, wrong, skin that looked flayed, too many bones visible beneath, but it still wore my face like a mask hanging loose. You're making this harder than it needs to be, it said. Good. I grabbed the leather pouch Tom had given me, the one I'd kept in my pocket the whole time, and threw it at the thing. The moment it touched the creature, there was a flash of light and a smell like burning sage. The thing shrieked and scrambled out of the truck, smoke rising from where the pouch had hit it. I didn't wait. I drove. 10 miles. 5. I could see Farmington ahead, but I could barely hold the wheel anymore. My body was almost gone, just bones held together by will. I made it to Tom's street, made it to his driveway, put the truck in park. The thing was in the back seat again. You made it. Congratulations. But look at yourself. You're already dead. Even if Tom breaks the connection, you're too far gone. You'll die anyway. I looked at my hands. It was right. I was mostly skeleton now. Barely any flesh left. Tom's front door opened. He ran toward the truck. Another man with him, older, wearing traditional clothing, carrying a medicine bundle. The thing in the back seat leaned forward. They can't save you, but I can. Accept the exchange. Let me have your life, and I'll preserve your consciousness. Keep you alive inside me. You won't die. You'll just be a passenger, watching through my eyes, living through me. It's better than nothing. Tom yanked open my door. Dr. Marsh, Jesus Christ, you're still here, I croaked. My voice was barely a whisper. Help me. The medicine man started chanting immediately. Spread corn pollen around the truck. The thing in the back seat hissed and tried to flee, but something held it in place. It's working, Tom said. The connection is breaking. But Dr. Marsh, you need to fight. You need to hold on. Your body's failing, but if you fight, everything went white. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. Tom was sitting next to the bed. You've been out for 3 days, he said. We broke the connection, banished the Skinwalker back to the burial site, sealed it properly this time. I looked at my hands. Flesh. Real flesh. Thin and weak, but real. How? Medicine. Old medicine. And you fought. You held on long enough for it to work. Most people don't. Most people give up. I started crying. Relief and fear and exhaustion all hitting at once. The burial site? I asked. We went back with a full team. Found the cyst. Found bones ancient and new. Found your vest. It was buried with ancestral Puebloan remains dating back 900 years. But the thing is sealed now. I can't escape again. What was it? Really? Tom was quiet for a long moment. A skinwalker, a witch from the ancestral Puebloan period who murdered their own family to gain power. They were caught and buried alive in that cyst with curses to keep them contained. But over the centuries, they found a way to reach out, to connect with people who disturbed the grave, to swap places. How many? How many what? How many people did it take before me? Tom's face darkened. We found remains, multiple sets, different time periods. It's been swapping for centuries. Every few decades, someone disturbs the grave, and it trades, and that person becomes bones, and it becomes them, lives their life for a while. Then it comes back, lets itself be found again, and waits for the next victim. I felt sick, so it's still out there, in someone's body. No, the ritual we performed didn't just break your connection. It destroyed the Skinwalker. Completely. It's gone. How can you be sure? Because when we sealed the burial, the bones in the cyst turned to ash. All of them. That only happens when the spirit is fully destroyed. I should have felt relief. But something nagged at me. Tom, can I see the photos? From the burial site? He pulled out his phone, showed me the pictures. The cyst, the bones, the stone slabs, and my vest lying in the dirt. Can I see it? The vest? We had to burn it. It was contaminated, spiritually dangerous. Why? I didn't answer, because I just noticed something. The vest in the photo had the tear on the right pocket. Mine had the tear on the left, and the embroidery was slightly different. R. Marsh instead of Dr. R. Marsh. It was close, but not quite right. I looked at my hands. They looked normal, felt normal, but were they? That was 6 weeks ago. I'm back home now, back to work. Everyone says I look tired, but otherwise fine. The doctors cleared me. Tom says the ritual worked. But sometimes, when I'm not paying attention, I catch my reflection doing something I didn't do, smiling when I'm not, tilting my head at an angle that doesn't feel natural. And last week, I found something in my closet, a field vest, olive green, with my name embroidered on it, the one I should have been wearing that day. I've never been able to find the vest I was wearing when I drove to Tom's house, the one I should be wearing now. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder, did we really break the connection, or did the exchange complete? Am I Rebecca Marsh, or am I the thing that waited 900 years, finally free, finally living the life I stole? I don't know anymore. And that's the worst part. I don't know if I'm the victim or the monster. If you're an archaeologist or researcher working with burial sites, follow the protocols. Don't go alone. Don't touch anything. Don't break the rules, no matter how professional you think you're being. Because the thing about skinwalkers is they're patient. They've been waiting centuries. They can wait a little longer. And once the exchange starts, you might not even know when it's finished. Have you ever felt like you weren't quite yourself after visiting an ancient site? Ever found objects you don't remember having? Share your experience below. Maybe together we can figure out who we really are.